We're doing it live. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
How's it going? Yeah, we're so professional. I am once again joined by Dan, but we don't. I mean, really, let's face it. You all just want to see this. You all just want to see me, and that's all you need. You know, that is all you need.
Oh yeah.
How do I switch it back? There we go.
Man, my eye is just so itchy. Oh hey.
How you doing, Dan?
No, doing good. Got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Ahsoka still sucks.
It still does. It still does.
Yeah.
You watched The Nun too.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. You know, it happens.
It's a movie. It's
a movie.
I wanted to talk about it last week, but I kind of forgot about it. But yeah. But we got some movie stuff, some TV show stuff to talk about, and we got some David Jaffe stuff to talk about. That'll be fun.
His reasonable takes.
Very reasonable takes. So I guess before we get into all that, how'd you feel about The Nun 2?
Honestly, I thought it was very mediocre. Like
very mediocre.
Yeah, like I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. It was very like middle of the road for me in terms of ranking within the series. Like I don't have an exact ranking. I guess I have to think about it, but like I said, in the mid-ish, I would say. It's just, I don't know. I feel like nothing really. Like I guess I don't know, I'm trying to give it a little bit of props to say that what it did was fine, but nothing really new. You know what I mean? I feel like everything that they tried to do, we kind of already seen it. You know, a lot of the similar jump scares. Like, oh, okay, I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And I mean, my biggest thing with the movie, and I mean, I'm trying to, I don't want to fault it too much, I guess, but my biggest thing is just I feel like they kind of focused a lot on the demon. Like you could like there was at least the third act was like the demon was just like walking around and like you could see like the full face and everything, and it kind of took it away from me. You know what I mean? It's the scare factor. Like I like it when you don't see what's there. When like you it's in the dark or something your mind plays it up a lot scarier than just seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest thing.
You mean to tell me out of all that, you didn't like the will they won't they story with Frenchie and that one nun chick? You mean to tell me you didn't like the romance between him and that girl that had that daughter or whatever?
Well, I was disappointed because I thought at first I was like, this is kind of lame. But then when it was revealed, well, spoiler, because I mean it's been out for a little bit, but spoilers, like he's he's like possessed, right, by the demon. So then I was like, oh wow, this guy's been playing Mr. Nice Guy the whole time. He's really just prying on this girl's like being so innocent and naive, But then they kind of just backtracked again, and it got lame again.
So, have you watched the first Nun movie?
Yeah, I mean it's been a while, but yeah.
So, and I don't fault you for this because there's not that movie's very forgettable. That movie is very forgettable, but it's not really a spoiler to say that he was possessed because they did let you know that at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did like a recap in the second one. Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of remember at the end.
Yeah, so I mean, it's whatever, but there's not much to talk about for that movie. just it just goes to show how forgettable the Conjuring universe has become. You know,
Yeah.
like Conjuring 1 and 2 used to be some of the greatest horror films in
Mm-hmm.
in current day, and now they're just reduced to mediocrity and just such a forgettable plot. And they want to make they want to make this universe like it's the Avengers or something like that, and this just proves that not every franchise needs to have like this universe with a bunch of spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
I was personally really looking forward to the third Conjuring movie until I found out that that James Wan wasn't coming back, and that they actually got the director of The Curse of La Llorona, who unironically is the director of The Nun 2. It's almost like we need to stop having this guy direct Conjuring movies because he's not good at it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how, like, I mean, pretty much the only two good ones, right, is Conjuring 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I could really think of. I mean,
I like the
it's funny
Annabelle
'cause James
creation.
Wan. Well, James Wan directed what? Both of them, right?
Yeah, he directed the first two Conjuring films.
What about the others?
I don't think he directed any of the other ones.
Hmm.
I think it was just those two. But he had a lot of input back then, which made the series interesting. And Annabelle Creation, I liked. And that's the only one that he didn't direct that I actually liked. Everything else has just been very mediocre or just terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, as a horror fan, that really upsets me because, I like my horror movies. I like the classic horror films. I like just about any whether it's paranormal or a slasher or whatever. I like that shit. And they just they're just they're not as scary anymore. You might have a jump scare that gets you every once in a while, but can you really remember the movie after the fact though? Like,
yeah. And again, it's just, to me, I think for me the worst part is just the disappointment, because when you watch the first two Conjuring movies, you're like, oh man, this is creepy, this is awesome, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna have, we're gonna, like, let's say The Nun, for example, like that, she was scary in that one, so you're like, oh, it's cool to get another movie, like a spin-off with her and, like, follow that demon and stuff, but then when you actually see these movies, you're like, okay, it's not. It's like, it becomes very generic after that.
Yeah, and they had a lot of build up with The Nun. There was a lot of build up for that movie, and it just when the first movie came out, it just really it was very disappointing. It wasn't scary. Now, granted, I like the scene. You probably don't remember it, but the scene where the dude ends up in the coffin, that was pretty creepy. But outside of that, there really wasn't anything. Yeah, there really wasn't anything to really take away from the movie. It was just it was just another generic horror film.
Well, that's the problem too. Is they're so generic. Like, you were talking about Annabelle, Creation was like the one you liked. I was like, I forget the difference between Annabelle and Annabelle Creation, and I don't know. They all kind of blend together.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, I don't know. I just think they've gone too crazy with this the Conjuring universe, even though this is supposed to be like, the Conjuring movies have always been based on the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, based on things that they did, their cases, and now they've just gone away from that, and I also find it kind of funny because the second Conjuring movie, as much as I like that movie, the actual story of that was actually faked. Like, the story, Yeah,
Oh,
so Ed and Lorraine Warren actually went to London or wherever that was to help this family out, only to find out that the mother was actually like a really skilled ventriloquist, and so she was able to get the kids to help her fake these events,
oh
and
wow.
so they ended up leaving. And that's kind of there in the movie. They kind of show that in the movie, but then it's like as they're leaving, Lorraine in the movie just has a feeling about, oh well, maybe it's the ghost or whatever trying
Mhm.
to make it look like it's all fake. And then they come back and it turns out that it actually really happened.
Yeah, like it's actually real, but I guess the ghost like coerced the people into
Right,
making it or something like that. Yeah.
right. But the real story is that it was fake. Like that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
I remember reading about that. I was like, huh, interesting. But they still made a movie about it.
Hmm.
They still
Well,
made
for
it
me,
a horror movie.
the third one is so disappointing because like that one's about the Amityville like horror, right? Like the Amityville house and like the murders there.
Is
Isn't that
it?
what that's about?
I don't think so.
I forget. Well, that I mean, I
I
know
forget.
basically the whole
But
movie was like a trial, right? Like a
yeah,
courtroom like trial, basically. And
yeah, it was like a trial, but
yeah, and that was
yeah,
kind of lame. I was like, I was hoping for more like the other movies where it's like, like they actually are investigating whatever case,
yeah,
and like obviously there's going to be some ghost slash demon stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I was kind of hoping for more of that. I didn't realize it would be just them on trial
yeah,
defending paranormal, I don't know, pieces of evidence. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, and that's kind of what the movie was, and I don't know. I'm just getting tired of this universe at this point, and I hate that we're calling it a universe because it shouldn't just. I don't know. It's just the series has gone way. It's gone all over the place, and I don't. Yeah, I think we're about done with this franchise. There's not much more you can tell aside from just having Ed die. But even then, I think the real Ed Warren just died of natural causes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this movie in particular, it was the second movie and the third movie that really hinted at Ed dying, like
Oh yeah.
tragically. So it's like, how are you gonna take a real life person and just make it so like he's gonna die or he's gonna die? I don't know. Just it's really weird to me how they're hinting at him dying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
mean,
not.
I'm okay with it just because like it's like you could argue like is any of it actually real? You know what I mean? Like a lot, it's all dramatized in the
Yeah,
movies, so
right.
but yeah, they're making another one though. They're making The Conjuring Last Rites.
Yeah, I heard about that. Did they say who's directing that?
Uh I don't know. I will see. Make me look things up.
Well, yeah. I mean, you should definitely look it up.
No, I don't see a director yet.
Yeah, it doesn't have a director yet, but David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick is
Yeah.
a writer. By the way, I
Yeah.
just looked it up just so you
I,
could
I
look.
was gonna say because you said that with conviction. I was like, I feel like you've definitely looked that up.
Apparently, this guy wrote. Oh, this guy wrote the first Orphan movie.
Eh.
He did Wrath of Titans, The Conjuring 2,
Ooh.
Aquaman, The Conjuring 3. He
Hmm.
did he did a few episodes of The Walking Dead, I guess, and then story by for Orphan Force First Kill. He did the story by or whatever. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the difference of when it says like story by, and then it's like other movies will say screenplay. So it's like, what did he write? Like, what does that mean? So
Yeah, I guess story is just kind of. I mean, I don't know, but I maybe like I assume it's like he wrote a general overview of like here's generally what happens, and the screenplay writer was like, okay, here, how do we actually make it into like a scene with like dialogue and stuff? I
yeah.
guess, but I'm
Yeah.
not a filmmaker. I just critique them. I just watch them. So
right. Have you watched Orphan First Kill? Have you watched the Orphan movies?
I watched. I'm trying to think. Was it the first one? I think it was the first one.
Where she puts her arm in that vice to break it?
I don't know, actually. I remember watching it because I mean, it was like, I think I was like, in high school at that point.
Yeah.
Not, even middle
school. It might have been middle school because I think that was 2010. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think just the first one. Yeah, because Orphan First Kill is
that came out last year. Yeah, last year.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's definitely the first one then.
Yeah. That was good. It's weird because they got the same actress that played the little girl, but like it's a prequel. So she's still playing a little girl, even though she's like in her late 20s. But the way they did it was actually magic. Yeah, the way they did it was actually kind of cool, and you just bought into the fact that she was just a little girl. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, but I watched season 1 of Chucky.
Oh, the show. Yeah, the show.
Yeah. And
so how was that?
Woke. Very woke.
Woke.
Yeah. Yeah. John Campio. Woke. Yeah.
Look at the reflection of Tobey Maguire's dick.
Yeah. The main kids, the main boys, they're gay, and that's like literally all you need to know about them is that they're gay. Right? Like, okay, so the show is entertaining enough, but again, there's a lot of this, like the one main character, I guess you could say he's the main character. His father isn't entirely thrilled that he's gay, right?
Okay.
So, and listen, I'm just saying, this kid's weird. This kid is already weird. So he does like this art. He does like art in his spare time, but all he does is get like doll heads and put them together. He takes off all the doll parts and just makes like a statue out of it. This kid's weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that's early warning signs.
Yeah, like he's a weird kid. So I mean, yeah, I think his biggest problem is that he's gay. But
that's where we draw the line.
Yeah. But I don't know, this show really, and not even that, his aunt and uncle didn't like that he was gay, right? And so he's got a crush on this other boy, and of course they had to make sure it was an interracial couple, so he's black, and of course his mom is just super thrilled that he's gay and super thrilled about their relationship. And it's like, I don't know, it's a very woke show. Also, the fact that there was a part that I still, even though it was made to be satirical, the whole show is a satire, and that's fine. I still kind of took issue with the fact that, I guess, Chucky, they wanted to make sure that you knew that Chucky wasn't a homophobe, so he explicitly says, so he's just like, I don't know. He makes a comment about how he's like, he thinks it's cool that the kid's gay or whatever, and he's like, well, you know, I I thought you didn't like gay people or something. I can't remember the context of it, but he says, I may be a serial killer, but I'm not a monster. You know, so basically they're just saying it's better to kill people than to be a homophobe. So that's good.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah.
a true serial
Yeah.
killer is a step above homophobe, I
Yeah.
guess.
So you can possess a child's body for the rest of your life and still do what you're doing, but you know, being a homophobe's gay or being a homophobe's bad. You know, that's
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
you can kill people. You just got to kill them, equally. You can't,
Right.
still be a homophobe.
Right. You gotta be
That's a true
equal.
monster right there.
Right.
Know?
If you only target one group of people, you know, that's a bit much.
Yeah, like I don't know, the old guy who says some kind of slur or something. Oh, that's a monster.
Yeah.
But the guy who literally kills people, nah, come on, he's not a monster. I mean, he's a serial killer. We're not a monster.
Yeah. But again, I just wanna I feel like I should just look at it as a satire because it is a satire.
Well, the
It's
only
just
thing. Well, sorry, I was just gonna say the only thing is that it's a continuation, right, of like the original like
yes.
series.
Mm-hmm.
So that I mean, like, I don't know. I guess not the biggest deal in the world, but it's just like it does kind of suck that it's like, oh, we're going back to the originals, because they did reboot it and it didn't go well. So it's like, oh, we're gonna continue the original story, and I mean, they got some of the original actors, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they got Andy Barkley. Obviously, why am I blanking on his name? Brad Dourif as Chucky, which he's still great as the character. I love him voicing that character. He's just so he's cool. They got Jennifer Tilly, who is Chucky's girlfriend in the franchise. Who else did they get? Oh, they got I can't remember the guy's name, but Andy Barkley, the original actor for Andy Barkley from the original Child's Play film. He's not a great actor. He's really not.
well.
and they got they got a few people in there, which is cool. They so the writing in the last episode I took issue with because that's where it's supposed to be like the end. Oh, we killed Chucky, whatever. But like I don't the dialogue was really bad in that episode for some reason. I don't even know, and I was kind of checked out anyway because it was just the writing was just so bad.
Like it was just like cringy, or just like
it was just cringe where he was just like he of course the main kid he had to defend his boyfriend or whatever. He's like, this is oh, don't talk bad about my boy. I can't remember what he said right before choking him out to where his eyeballs pop out, but it was really bad. And I just, oh God, it was and I just kept thinking, like, did they get someone else to write this episode? It just felt really off to me. And I just, and it was shot really weird. It was shot really weird because at the very beginning of the episode, the dude's boyfriend's in this house or in this building or whatever, and Andy Barkley's there, and then his adopted sister is about to walk in, but the place was rigged with explosives, so she opens the door and causes this explosion, and then the next shot, it's the next scene, it's the main character and the main girl at the funeral or something, or no, I can't remember what they were doing, but they started crying over him, he died, the boyfriend died or whatever. And literally the next scene after that, he's in his bedroom crying, and then his boyfriend just walks in. No bruises, no cuts, just looked like he just got out of the shower, just walks into his bedroom. And of course he runs up to him, they kiss and whatever. And then like he makes no mention of Andy Barkley, but then later on in the episode, Andy turns out to be alive. And then I still don't know about Kyle, about his adopted sister, but it sounded to me like she died, but they did a really poor job at explaining what the fuck happened during this explosion.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a little.
Are these two guys okay? But what happened to her? Because it sounds like she's dead.
You know? Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little confusing. I mean, I didn't watch it, but it's just like what? So there was an explosion, but seemingly no one died, or maybe one person. Maybe we don't know yet.
Right?
Like well, you don't know yet. Like that's what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know because she never shows up again for the rest of the season, and I just started season 2, but I don't know. It was a really weird episode. Yeah, it was just weird. And
how many seasons are there?
They're gonna start season 3 next month.
Oh wow, okay, so it's still coming out.
Yeah. It's still out. And I'm having fun with it because it's, it does feel like the Child's Play movies, but the biggest problem is that it's woke. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of it. It's not even that the characters are gay. I don't care that the characters are gay, but why do you have to make it their personality?
Yeah, like why is that their? Yeah, why is that their like one defining feature or like one character trait?
Right.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I also felt a type of way because the main girl, she's 16 years old in real life. I don't know how old she was when they were filming season 1, but at least in season 2, there's like there are some provocative shots of her that I felt like you didn't need to have certain shots of her, especially when she's wearing like this low cut dress. It was like a Halloween costume, and like you're seeing her like laying on her back, and you can clearly see everything. And it was just, why do you need that? They couldn't even have these kids be high schoolers. They had to be in middle school where they're doing drugs. And they're middle schoolers doing drugs and doing very inappropriate things that you shouldn't really see kids doing, right? But like to not even get actors who are at the very least 18, it's a really weird. It's weird, and it makes me kind of question what they're doing here. Especially
when, like you said, like if she's 16 now, then yeah, when she was filming those scenes, I mean, it was probably, it wasn't that long ago, but let's just say 15, 16, you know what I mean? Like still,
14
it's like
maybe, yeah, it had me feeling a type of way, and maybe it's just I don't know. I don't know. It was just really weird. Yeah.
I agree, though. It's like if they're gonna do scenes that are inappropriate like that, it's like at least you could hire an adult actor / actress and just kind of like through CGI, through makeup, through just whatever they could play a younger role. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like for a lot of people, it's not hard to make them look younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when we saw Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. He was like what 30 something,
yeah,
playing like a 16-year-old. He was in high school still.
Yep. I mean, shit, it's not hard. All I gotta do is shave this, and I'll look like I'm 15. You know,
I don't know about that because you look old.
No, I don't care. No but no, like I said, I just thought that was very weird.
Well, because there's a bunch of those like what is like Euphoria, right? Is a show that's based on like high school kids. I think maybe I don't, I have to check like the actors' actual ages, but same thing with like 13 Reasons Why. And I don't think, I mean, again, I'd have to actually go back and double check, but I don't think the actors are under 18
I don't think so.
on for either show. You know what I mean? Like, and they handle
Some
like
of them
very,
maybe, but you know,
and they handle very mature,
yeah,
content. You know what I mean? That like wouldn't be good for kids.
yeah. I don't know. It was very weird. It made me feel a type of way. I didn't care for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I can't remember if Don Mancini, who is the creator of the Chucky movies and the whole franchise, I think Don Mancini's a little weird from he's definitely gay. He's actually like very gay, so it makes sense that he would want to push this sort of stuff in his show, I guess. But I can't remember. Maybe I'm thinking. I might be thinking about the Jeepers Creepers creator, because apparently he was in some stuff with that involved kids and stuff that I don't really want to get into on this channel. But very, very weird dude. But yeah, I'm just I hope season 2 is better. But
yeah, see, I'm looking through the cast of Euphoria. I mean, not the whole, just like the main people. And it looks like everyone is there's one kid who's 15, but everyone else is over like 20. Like,
oh, really?
Like everyone seems to be like 25, 26. There's like one or two people who are like 21. But yeah, like everyone is playing, high school age, like, I don't know, 15, 17, whatever. And they're you know what I mean? Like they're all like in their 20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's believable,
Yeah. I don't know. One thing one thing that kind of I couldn't stop thinking about it watching this show is we get this Chucky series. It's so much bigger than Ash versus Evil Dead, and I just kept thinking to myself, they need to bring Ash versus Evil Dead back. I really like that show. I know you didn't watch it.
But, yeah, I haven't seen it.
I like the Evil Dead movies. I think they're entertaining as hell. And honestly, I really liked the show. It was fun. It was a little woke too, but it was fun. It was just really cool. And seeing Bruce Campbell back as Ash Williams, that was awesome. And if they're not going to continue the show, because I think it only got 3 seasons, if they're not going to continue the show, at least make one more movie to wrap it up. Like,
yeah. Well, that's a continuation, right? Of what, Army of Darkness, right? It's the third one.
Yep.
So, okay, so that's cool. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, come on, like you said, if you make another season or a movie or something just to wrap it up.
Yep, just something, because I mean, season 3 ended on a cliffhanger where he goes back and where I think he goes into the future, and it's like this very post-apocalyptic future. It felt very much like the little glimpse that you get of what time period he got transported to. It reminded me of Mad Max, where it's just like it's like a desert wasteland. And he's driving these beat up cars and shit that had like spikes all over. It was like very death race, Mad Max style. It was pretty cool, and I wanted to see what they were going to do with that. But yeah,
well, I'm still disappointed because like the Evil Dead remake, right? The end credit scene had him come back. right? And he
Yeah.
says, whatever, like groovy or right.
Yeah, groovy.
And then they made Evil Dead Rise, right? That's
Yeah.
like the next, which doesn't have anything to do with the other remake, or I don't even know if that's technically canon in that universe. I don't think they ever really say.
They don't really explicitly tell you that it's canon, but there's it's like they don't necessarily want to tell you it's not canon, so they're just kind of leaving it where it's like, well, these are going to be individual stories, none of them are going to cross over. But Bruce Campbell does make a vocal cameo in Evil Dead Rise.
Does he really?
Yeah, so there's a part in the movie where the one daughter is going through like the audio or something, and you can hear Bruce Campbell yelling. He says something like, "Oh, it's called the don't open it. It's called the Book of the Dead for a reason," or something like that. So yeah, if you go back and watch that movie, if you go back and watch it, you'll be able to hear it. So yeah. I thought that was kind of cool, but they just need to bring Ash back, because Bruce Campbell's entertaining as hell to watch in just about anything he's in,
Yeah, and he's just so, I mean, at least for me, I feel like he's just so synonymous with Evil Dead at this point. It's like you got to bring him in,
Yep. They made a comic series. I mean, I think I told you about that. Well, it was like I don't want to say it was necessarily a series. It was just like a 5-part comic book run where it was like Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. And it's like, why didn't they just make a movie like that? You know what I mean? I want to see, right? Because especially since Robert Englund has actually stated that he would be willing to come back one more time as Freddy. Like have Robert Englund, who's the Kane Hodder?
The original, like, well, not original, but like the guy,
like the one that everyone likes, that everyone thinks is the best. Jason, bring him back and bring back Bruce Campbell as Ash. That would be fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
That would be awesome.
I mean, they are, especially Robert Englund is a little bit older now, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know if he could do it, to be honest, but
yeah, but I don't know. I'm sure they can. I mean, I don't know. I was gonna say I'm sure they can play around with it. They can try to like.
They could try. The thing is, it'd be easy. Excuse me. It'd be easy for them to, put stuff all over his face to make him look the same, but at the same time, how much can he really do? Yeah,
like how much I feel like you'd be able to tell in like his movements.
Yeah. I wish they would have done another Freddy versus Jason or something like that. That would have been so cool.
Yeah, Robert Englund is 76.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. That is a little old.
Listen, Harrison Ford's like 80 something. So I mean,
yeah, but he also falls asleep in between takes.
He does. Yeah, he fell asleep during Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's not confirmed. That's just an inside joke.
But no, it'd be cool to have him come back. But yeah, God, just to hear that voice again, just to hear him voice Freddy again.
Yeah, and I do. I like, we were like younger when the first Freddy vs. Jason came out. And I was like, oh, it was so good. It was so fun.
That was an event
I would love
too.
To do a sequel.
Yeah. God, that was such an event with that movie coming out. They had that. I don't know if you saw it or not, but they had they did like a little mock WWE weigh-in thing for Freddy.
I think I did see that actually. Yeah. On YouTube.
Where they actually had a weigh-in, and like you had Jason who weighed like 300 some pounds, and then Freddy was just like 87 pounds or something like that. It was just so funny. God, back then they had a lot of fun.
I just remember the poster where it's like, you know, I
Mhm.
remember it was all white in the background, and it would be like there was two posters, and like the shot was taken behind either, let's say, Freddy, so you see like his hand and like the back of his back, and then you see like Jason, you know, in the front,
Yeah.
and then vice versa. They did the same thing on the other side. No,
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the movie theaters, like, you know, coming out of a movie and seeing that poster, and I was like, oh my god, they're doing
Yeah.
it. You know,
I actually think I might have what you're describing. Hang on.
oh, because yeah, oh, it was so good. I remember like because back in the day, I mean, you know, most times to know if a movie's coming out, you would just see a movie. You see the posters, and you're like, oh yeah, that's coming out. Nowadays, we get everything instant. But yeah, I gotta see if I can. Find it here.
So it's not a poster, obviously, but is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
that's like that's like the two of them together. Yeah.
about? Yep. God, I love this. Then, you know, the inside obviously has the I flipped it to the other one, but yeah. That's how it came in the box set that I have, but yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I remember seeing that's the poster that they had at like Regal Cinemas and everything like that. Oh man, back in the day. Oh, good stuff.
Let me see if I can. Wait, is that? Oh wait, this actually. I don't know. Actually, that might be fake. I was gonna see if I could like, I remember, like some of those posters, or like some of the art to it, you know. Like here, maybe here's just like one. Oh my god, let me just share screen. Oh. But yeah, I was like, that's one of them, you know, where it's just like you're behind Jason, and then you see Freddy.
Oh, okay.
You see that?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
And then like they have obviously the other side too, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing that like back to back, and I was like, oh, it's so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe I did. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I mean that movie came out in like what
2003.
3? Wow.
Yep.
2003.
Yep.
Yeah, you're old.
So due to some differences behind the scenes, Dan will no longer be a part of Trash Talk.
Can't get rid of me yet.
But I did want to talk about this just because I saw this like an hour prior to starting this shit. But did you hear about a Starbucks barista in a diaper?
In a diaper?
In a diaper.
No. No.
So I'm not going to show the video, but there's a video on Twitter. On X. There's a Twitter. There's a tweet on X. That there's a video there that shows someone, and I have some images pulled up, and so basically, this dude, he had his pants completely off. I don't know where his pants were, but he was wearing an adult diaper. And
why? Why?
Because
he's a grown man. He's not like he's not like, you know.
So he has a fetish. He has a diaper fetish, which actually is kind of alarming because, like, why does he have that fetish? What there's a lot to unpack there. But
yeah, because
um,
I'm just
yeah.
confused. Like, why? You know, like why?
So there's a video of him where he essentially, so he's taking a video of himself, um, spraying whipped cream down his diaper, down his adult diaper.
Oh, hold on. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
and he puts
before we get
and
back. Before we get back to that, I was going to say, just to share screen quick. Oh wait. Oh God.
yeah.
Sorry, hold on. Before we get to that, can you just kind of share my screen quick? I was going to say that's the poster I was thinking of actually. The other one I showed, I think, is on
Oh, okay. I
my
did see that
DVD.
one.
I have like a DVD, you know, like the
Yeah.
actual DVD, and like that's one of the faces of it. But yeah, this is what I remember, where it's like all
Okay.
white. Like I said, you see the back of Freddy, and you see Jason
Yeah.
there.
I did see that one. I do remember seeing that. That's cool.
Sorry, but yeah. So sorry. So this adult barista, who's not like disabled or anything like that, right? He just has a fetish
He has a fetish.
for. Wait a minute.
I don't want to
Full
go down that
diaper.
rabbit hole because I don't want to know personally, but
Wait.
it shows him. So this one right here, you see, this is the point where he's putting whipped cream down his diaper.
Oh,
But this ice here, he actually pours the ice down the diaper.
and this is like at the store. This isn't like in his
This is
home.
literally in Starbucks, and this is in Missouri.
Like, imagine you're like, hey man, can I get a, I don't know, a frozen coffee? And then he's like, yeah, sure. Hold on a second. I gotta just fill my diaper. And you're like, what? You just see him take the whipped cream and whatever.
Yeah. So, regardless, this is why I don't go to fucking Starbucks.
That's why.
That's why you don't go to Starbucks. I've been very
weird things to happen at Starbucks.
Yes. This is why I've never been a fan of Starbucks. I just want to throw that out there. That's weird, man. That's really fucking weird. But yeah, apparently he has a fetish. I don't know what the fetish is, but
it doesn't even matter. Like if my philosophy is like, as long as you're not like hurting anybody, as long as everything's consensual, do whatever you want in your own bedroom, in the privacy of your own bedroom. Don't do that in public where, I'm just trying to get a drink. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to get like
it also makes me wonder why the hell did he film it?
I mean, to be fair, if I saw some guy doing some weird things, I'd be like, this is going on YouTube. I'm getting a million clicks.
Well, he clearly filmed it himself because the way it was propped up.
He filmed himself?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had it propped up and he was doing it right in front of the camera.
Oh, I thought it was like someone in line or something, just like
No, he did it himself.
I think people are just desperate for attention. And
I agree.
Social media relevance.
Yeah. Regardless, maybe this guy's actually a genius. Maybe he's trying to get them out of business. You know,
I mean,
out of business.
I'm not a fan of Starbucks, so hey, why not?
Yeah, maybe he's onto something. I don't know. That's weird, man.
See, I don't understand how people are so comfortable doing that kind of stuff. I feel like when I think back to when I was like a kid, like that was not that you can't do that in public. No. You know what I mean? Like it's like I feel like the public outcry, like people would put a stop to that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nowadays, it's just it's a viral clip on Twitter.
Yep.
Well, X. Yeah.
X.
X.
X, that will always X, formerly known as Twitter, but will always be called Twitter. Why did they change that name?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't
Why did
understand
they-
why, because Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? Like
Yeah.
he owns the literal IP. So, like I don't understand why. Like you know what I mean? Like why change the name?
Yeah.
It's not like it's a copyright of anything. Like he owns it.
Right. I don't know if it was just to rebrand because of all the bad publicity that Twitter got in recent years, but yeah, everyone thinks it's stupid. I didn't even know he was rebranding until like I just saw it on my phone one day. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's literally Twitter.
Yeah, same. I was like, X, what is that? And
Yeah,
then
I'm like,
clicked
I
on
don't
it,
remember
it's Twitter.
deleting.
I'm
I don't
like,
remember
oh,
downloading this. I thought I got hacked.
okay. Yup.
You know? But yeah. What a weird place we're living in.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird when I see your clip next week. Are you gonna go
Yeah.
are you gonna go into Starbucks and one up that guy?
Oh, I'm definitely going to Starbucks and one-upping that guy. Yep. This time I'll have my shirt off.
You wimp. This is how you really do it.
I'll stick my dick into someone's fucking coffee.
Everyone working there would probably just be like, typical Tuesday with the, this is whatever.
Typical Tuesday.
Yeah, whatever. Can I get a venti? Whatever.
Yeah. Shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, let's talk Ahsoka.
You don't have to. We don't have to go there.
We don't, but we are. Let's talk Ahsoka before we get into the bigger thing.
The show that is it good now?
No.
Like, is it good now? Oh, it still sucks.
It's still trash. What did you watch it?
I did. Yeah.
What did you think?
I liked Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
That's about it. Like everything else I didn't like. Even like some of the stuff that the scenes he was in, it's unfortunate that Ahsoka was in those scenes as well.
Yeah. So what I find very unfortunate, excuse me, can't stop yawning. What I find very unfortunate is the fact that it just felt like all of it was pointless. Like,
yeah, I mean that's that too.
It felt
like the War Between Worlds, kind of, not really, maybe.
Yeah, it is the world between worlds, but like, I don't understand why she was there. I still don't understand why she was there. That and like, listen, I will say, to Dave Filoni's credit, there were some cool shots, such as like when Anakin's going into battle, whatever, you see the back of him, and like there's like an explosion in the distance, lighting everything up, and you see his silhouette turn from like Anakin holding his blue lightsaber to Vader holding his red lightsaber. That was cool. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was cool seeing Anakin in like his Clone Wars like general like outfit, like that was cool.
I could have done without that.
Oh,
to be
really?
honest, I could have done without that. I didn't like that. I never liked that. Even when I was watching the Clone Wars show, which I enjoyed at the time, I never liked the armor that Anakin and Obi-Wan wore, because it seemed like they were the only Jedi wearing that armor. I don't remember any of the other Jedi wearing that armor aside from those two. So I thought that was very unnecessary. I could have done without that.
I mean, I haven't watched it, so like it's hard to say, but just from an outsider, I thought it looked cool. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, it just wasn't my favorite thing. But
my biggest thing about the episode was just that Hayden Christensen still got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they were like lightsaber duel, like he was so like it's funny, but it's like you could tell that like he was so easily like he could easily elegantly speed up, like the tempo could have went faster. But I think Rosie O'Donnell was like, all right, hold on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were like, all right, slow down, Hayden, because she's not up to
Yeah.
your speed yet.
That's excuse me. And that's the thing with Ahsoka is she's supposed to be fast and nimble, and she's just not fast at all in this show. No one in this show fights like they normally would. I don't need it to be dancy like in the prequels, but at the same time, I need it to be a little more fast paced, a little more intense, because it doesn't really feel that intense in these fight scenes. It just feels like it looks like the actors are more or less afraid of hurting one another.
Well, that, and it's also like I think that's partially what happens when you hire people who are like older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel like if they were to get someone who's like 19 or 20 and put in the work to learn the choreography, I think you could have some really cool scenes.
But at the same time, what about the stunt doubles? Do they not hire stunt doubles anymore?
Well,
you know what I mean? They had stunt doubles for Christopher Lee when he was playing Count Dooku.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, where are the stunt doubles? If they can't pull off the intensity or the fast paced action, get stunt doubles. They get stunt doubles anyway for any action scenes, unless they're like Tom Cruise.
I remember like what was it? Episode 1, where Ahsoka like chases the ship as it flies away. I forget. Like first fights
like
Morocco,
literally at the beginning. Are you talking about like at the beginning with the droids exploding?
No. She's like, I remember like Morocco.
Oh, that was episode 2.
Yeah. Is episode 2? Okay. Was the episode 2 where she's like running after the ship? And it's just like
it doesn't run very fast.
I forget, but it was just so bad. Like you could tell she just like she can't run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, come on, dude. Like you can't even see her face. You could easily just like have the shot be behind her and just have a stunt double who can actually run and is like, athletically in shape and just do it,
Yep. Yeah. I just think overall the choreography hasn't been great. The whole point of this episode was seemingly just so we could see Anakin again, Hayden Christensen as Anakin, But the thing is, the problem with that is they did that in Obi-Wan, but like in Obi-Wan, it just didn't. How I felt watching this episode of Ahsoka is how I should have felt watching Obi-Wan when seeing Hayden Christensen back as Anakin. I didn't feel the way that it's like you felt two different things, and you should have felt more emotional seeing Anakin or seeing Hayden Christensen come back as Anakin / Darth Vader more so in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but you just don't, because it's such an unnecessary show.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'm happy that Hayden is willing to come back, and I'm happy that the fans are love him now, because he did receive a lot of hate that was unnecessary. But at the same time, it's like it sucks that the quality of projects that are being offered just isn't really good.
Yeah,
like his talent is wasted, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one thing that I like about Hayden Christensen is he doesn't attack the fans. He doesn't shit on the fans at all. I think he seems like a really cool dude. So it's nice to see him kind of get that little comeback story, you know.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the only reason they're bringing him back is because they want something. They want people to talk about something.
Well, yeah,
I
because
mean,
what they're
really,
putting out sucks. So
yeah,
they need something. Like, remember
yeah. They
this?
need to talk about. They need us to at least talk about it to some extent.
Yeah, it's like, remember this? Remember this member
Mm-hmm.
berry?
Mm-hmm. That's
But yeah,
all
I
it is.
just
It's member berries.
but yeah, he was just like I said, the couple fight scenes that he had with Rosario Dawson, like it was just like it's hard to describe because I'm not obviously a choreographer, choreography instructor or anything like that. But like it's just like to me, he seemed so like fluid. It seemed like he could really like I said, he could really like he still had the moves,
Yeah,
he's got the moves.
still got the mood.
But she just seemed, like I said, a little like slower. And I was like, oh man, dude. Like even
Yeah,
the actress who played young Ahsoka, like I thought she did
yeah.
pretty
Even
well.
she did better.
Yeah, like she did pretty well with the lightsabers. And I don't know, obviously the filming like schedule, but I would imagine she had significantly less time to pick that up.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
almost guarantee it.
So yeah, and
Um,
I thought she was great, the young Ahsoka. I was like, oh, she's actually a lot
yeah,
better. I'd much rather this.
yeah. And she plays it's just in the little bit that we got, like she plays the character a lot better.
Hmm.
You know, um, I don't know if you knew this, but apparently that girl that played young Ahsoka actually is the little girl that played young Gamora in the Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I thought that
wow.
was
Huh.
kind of cool. Yeah, I
That's
thought
pretty
that was
cool.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, there's really not. Oh, let's talk about let's talk about how Jason Syndulla was able to hear Anakin and Ahsoka fighting in the water or whatever.
Well, how about the fact that he's like, "Mom, can you hear it?" And he's
Yeah,
like, "Yeah,
and
like
she like
listen."
stands there and like listens in,
And it's
and she
like,
could hear it.
yeah, and it's like she's not force sensitive,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which I guess
but anyone can use the Force
reestablishes.
now.
Yeah, I was
Didn't you
gonna say,
know
I
that?
guess it reaffirms that retcon they did before, which is
Yeah,
everyone could use the force. It's just they're not disciplined enough. They're not working hard enough.
right. Yeah, but what makes you think Hera's disciplined enough?
I mean, she's a
But
general. They only
yeah,
mention it 100,000 times.
it makes right. It makes sense that Jason, who is the son of a Jedi, to
Hmm.
be able to sense that. But for Hera of all fucking people, that's
Yeah,
oh
and like I said,
god.
I was kind of confused because like she, like you said, was just kind of standing there, and I guess heard it because then she was, hey, we, fly over the water, and Jason, good job. And it's like, so I
Mm,
guess she heard the clashing too, because I mean, otherwise, she just sit there and go, whatever, I'll just agree with the kid. You know what I
right.
mean? Like that'd be awkward.
Yeah. But the thing is, for Hera to actually stand there and listen, when no one else could hear other than Jason, I don't know. I guess they want to make her force sensitive. I don't, or not force sensitive, but they want to make it, like you said, reaffirm that yeah, anyone can use the force.
Yeah.
But why couldn't they? I feel like it would have been more impactful if she just trusted Jason. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
would be more, uh, it'd be more powerful, I guess, to like have her just believe her son, and that way you can be like, okay, well, yeah, he's pretty powerful in the Force or whatever.
Hmm.
Kind of like in Empire Strikes Back when Luke was on that antenna and Leia senses him and she's like, we got to go back. Lando's like, no, we can't go back. And then Chewbacca's like, no, we're doing it.
Hmm.
And they make Lando turn the ship around or whatever. And Luke's there.
Yeah.
Like they could have literally done something just like that. Maybe not
Yeah.
just like that, but have her just be like, okay, well, we'll check this out. Like, even though she doubts him, like, we'll check it out, you know?
Mhm.
And that's what they do. But
Yeah, because again, it's because otherwise, like you said, then it's like everyone can use the Force. I mean, why even seek out Jedi? Like, why even seek out Force sensitive kids? You know, like
mhm.
that was the whole point of the Jedi, right? They would seek out Force sensitive kids across the
Yep.
galaxy to, bring them into the order and train them. But it's like,
Yep.
if everyone could do it, then why even seek them? Why not just train literally anybody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's just
just
stupid.
you can still just grab anyone's kid and discipline them, train them hard enough, and they can use the Force now.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they're. It just seems like so. The thing is, I think where they're coming from is when Yoda in Empire was teaching Luke, he was like, "Oh, the Force, they treated it like a religion, right?
Mm.
And that's fine, but George Lucas also understood that, well, maybe everyone using the Force, if I want to tell this story, maybe we should make it make sense to where, like, yeah, the Force is in all living beings, but only a certain person with, no matter what you feel about midi-chlorians, if you had a certain amount of midi-chlorians, okay, you can use the Force, you can do all these stuff, you can be a Jedi. It wasn't necessarily just like anyone could use it. Anyone could do it, but
Yeah.
so he had to come up with something. But now you're just retconning it. But yet somehow you're trying to tell us how much you love the prequels. And that's another thing about Dave Filoni, right? Dave
Yeah.
Filoni has said, "Oh, I love the prequels. Ever since they came out, I love the prequels." And yet he makes this show with the intention of fixing the prequels. It's like, if you love the prequels so much, why do you feel the need to fix them?
Yeah, and retconning it whenever he can.
Right, exactly. And now you're retconning the shit. And
Mhm.
you're not just retconning. The thing is, you're not just retconning the prequels anymore. You're retconning the original trilogy.
All of Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah, the
everything.
entirety of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the issue. And I saw recently, I saw an interview where Dave Filoni was talking about, oh, I want to use, everyone wants all these new characters, but what about the EU characters? What about people like Thrawn? Can we use these characters in a respectful way? And can we use these characters to where it'll make sense? And the answer is no, you can't, because you're retconning everything and you're changing these characters and you're using these characters as you see fit. Whereas, it's either for fan service or, well, shit, since we retconned everything, now we can make our own versions of these characters, because no one
Yeah.
cares about the characters that we're making.
Well,
There's a reason why they had a whole show about Boba Fett, because there is a huge fan base for Boba Fett. Personally, I don't understand why, but they brought him back for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They made an entire show about that, and it still ended up being just the Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the
like
thing. I think a lot of the EU stuff, it's like I I don't know. For me, I feel like it seems like almost like pandering, because when Disney bought Star Wars, the very first thing they did was say all of the EU is not canon anymore, which is kind of a slap in the face to all the EU fans. Because I mean, the EU has been, I mean, for since like the early '90s, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Stories been coming out, so that automatically was a pretty big, kind of slap in the face to all the fans. Then they come out with their own stuff, right? Their own, but it's like you said, it's like a remixed, sort of like it's a similar stories to the EU, but not really, because they change it, but for the worse,
Yep.
or like they'll bring references in, but it doesn't really make sense. Like you said, Hera's kid, right, is named Jason, Jacen, right?
Mhm.
Like spelled like in the EU. And it's like, it's like, I guess that's a cool little reference, but I would much rather have Jason Solo from the
Yeah.
EU. Darth Caedus is so much cooler. I'd much rather that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's just kind of
Yeah.
like insulting. It's like pandering. It's like, cool, you named him Jason, but I'd much rather just bring that story back.
Right. And he wants to talk about, oh yeah, how can we use Thrawn? How can we use Thrawn in a story in this continuity? It's like, well, easy. Since Luke is still pretty young in this point in time, let's have Luke in the fucking story. Right? Like if Thrawn is such a big threat, well, bring Luke in. Why is Ahsoka the one that has to take on Thrawn? It should be Luke. Luke, Han, and Leia.
Yeah, especially when they confirmed, right, in the book of Boba Fett, Grogu leaves Luke's temple, is training, whatever. So it's not like he's not training Grogu. And they also confirmed in the sequel trilogy, right, that Ben Solo was Luke's first student, like actual student.
Yeah.
And the timeline of things, Ben would be like, I don't know what, 5 or something. You know what I mean? Like he's not old enough to train yet. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's like, so what is Luke doing right now? Because he at this point in the story, he shouldn't have any students.
Yeah.
Like, is he just chilling, just waiting for something to happen?
Who knows?
Like, why? He's not he's not training anyone. So it's like, why not ask him to join in on this galactic threat like Thrawn?
Yeah. Well, he's building his Jedi temple, but who fucking cares? Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, the way they build up Thrawn, it's like, dude, he sounds like a pretty big threat. I mean, I would at least ask Luke, even if Luke declines. He's like, nah, you guys got it. Okay, fine. At least you tried. I mean, I can't imagine not even asking him for help.
Right. And yeah, it's very insulting because a lot of people, you don't bring Thrawn in for a reason. You don't bring, or I'm sorry, you don't bring Thrawn in for the normies, right? You bring Thrawn in for the people who read the books, not for the people who just watched the movies. I mean, the thing is, bringing Thrawn in and confirming that Thrawn is canon to this new continuity. Well, of course, people who read the books are like, yeah, I want to see Thrawn in live action. I want to see Thrawn on the big screen, whatever, which they're going to eventually do. But the thing is, you've alienated those fans almost immediately by not including Luke in this story. Now, granted, I don't think Thrawn's really going to be in this series a whole lot. Yeah, he might show up in like the last episode or two.
Yeah, I mean, we're already in episode. That was what, episode 5 that just passed. Like we just were reviewing. So yeah, and each episode is like 30 to 45 minutes ish. So
yeah. And I'm curious because Dave Filoni said that he is making a movie, and it seems to be pointing to this Thrawn. It seems like it's gonna be about Thrawn, whatever. I'm curious to see if they actually will bring Luke into the movie. They would almost have to. It's hard to say if they're actually going to be smart enough to actually have Luke be a part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like necessarily put him in for like a cameo, because if they put him in for a cameo, that's going to be the stupidest thing they could ever do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, it's hard to say where they're going to go with this. It's hard to say what this movie is going to have. I just have a strong feeling that this movie is going to be just Ahsoka, just doing her thing, trying to stop Thrawn, and then Luke's just going to kind of be in the background, or he gets injured or something, and then she has to be the one to save the day, essentially. You know?
Yeah, I personally,
That's assuming Luke's in it at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I kind of, I agree with you on like what at first you were saying was like I think this show is probably going to end with them like saving Ezra,
Yeah,
but also bringing back Thrawn by accident or whatever. And then the movie is going to be how is Ahsoka and the gang going to take on Thrawn?
Yeah,
but I don't think personally, I don't think they're going to bring Luke in at all. I don't think they're going to mention him.
I honestly don't think they will either, but that's assuming if Luke is in there at all.
Yeah, like
he'll get sidelined the fuck out of.
Yeah, like maybe if you're lucky, there's like an end credit scene or something where Luke is like walking around with this little boy and he's like, "Oh, this is my nephew Ben." You know what I mean? And then it's like that's the end. Just to kind of hint that like, "Oh, look, that's Kylo Ren as a kid."
Yeah.
Maybe a cameo if you're lucky, but otherwise probably not. I don't think he's going to be in it at all.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he'd have to also like, you got to imagine he'd probably steal the spotlight from Ahsoka.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They don't want that.
And like we even just saw with Anakin, where it's like he to me he easily stole the spotlight.
Oh yeah, he's the one everyone talks about.
Yeah, so like I can't imagine them bringing Luke into the movie for anything longer than a cameo.
Right.
Then yeah, he would just steal the spotlight from Ahsoka, and Dave Filoni can't have that.
No. Well, no, I'm convinced he has like fan art of Ahsoka, of him and Ahsoka doing God knows what.
He probably tells his wife, he's like, "Here, dress up like Ahsoka," and she's like, "Again?"
I don't even know if he's married. Is he married?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm about to look that up. I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. Anne Convery. Anne Convery. It looks like is his spouse, it says. On Wikipedia.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. What does she look like? Do they have a picture?
No, it doesn't even have like a thing to click on. So I guess she's not like famous or anything.
Oh, I think there is a picture.
American author. Oh, here we go. Maybe if I go to the Star Wars fandom, I think here's a picture of her.
Anne Convery.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one has an E in front, so I guess Elizabeth Anne Convery, but she goes by Anne. Okay, sure. So she's an author.
She's an author.
Yeah, it says an American author and the wife of Dave Filoni. And talks about how she watches Star Wars and stuff.
There you go.
Well, either way, I bet every time he's just like, "Can you wear this?" And she's like, "Oh my goodness, seriously, Dave, again?"
That wouldn't surprise me. That really wouldn't surprise me.
Just the headpiece, at least, please. We don't need the makeup.
Yeah, we don't need to. You don't need to be orange this time.
Yeah, you don't have to trouble yourself. Just wear that, please.
Yeah, he just comes off as a really weird dude who's into those sorts of fetishes, and I don't know, man.
Yeah,
he's not the savior that everyone thinks he is.
Well, I was gonna say, to be honest, he feels to me kind of like a I don't know, like a grifter. You know, it's like he worked.
Yeah, a little bit.
He worked with George Lucas. He knows everything about Star Wars until he actually opens his mouth about anything Star
Yeah.
Wars related, and you're like, okay. He had like
Oh,
one good interview, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, he's George Lucas's mentor or whatever. What the fuck? No. Well, maybe, I guess, to an extent, but clearly he hasn't done a good job.
Yeah, like I'm sure George told him some things, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I'll keep that in mind." But he's clearly going his own direction.
Yeah.
Within Star Wars, like he's not, I don't think he's literally following. I mean, even Ahsoka, right? Like George wanted her to die during Order 66.
Yeah, and she should have.
Which would have made more sense.
Yep.
But
and now you got
she's alive.
Yeah. Somehow Ahsoka has returned.
Yeah, several years later.
several years. Oh, it takes place like right after Return of the Jedi. No, it actually takes place like several years after Return of the Jedi. Oh,
okay.
Oh, I see. Which you gotta say that. I mean, like people want to know where all this stuff fits in the timeline.
We said what last time, right? It's like I don't know. You just kind of hand wave it away. Who was it? John Favreau?
They don't want to tell you because they know it's going to retcon everything that they're doing. They know none of it makes sense. Why else would they not say specifically when?
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think you brought up last time with John Favreau, where it's just like they asked him, like, "Oh, when does it take place?" And he's like, between 0 to 5 years."
Oh, like that. Yeah, John Favreau. Yeah,
right, like 0 to 5 years later, or something like that. And it's just like
0
to 5. Why don't you state the exact? Just say like 3 years or something, whatever.
Yeah, because they don't know. That's the issue. They have no clue. They don't. I don't think they really care enough to really try to make it fit in. Whereas, like, if you look at the MCU, they had dates in place, and there were mistakes as far as like the dates put in place. But there's this guy, this YouTuber. It's him and his wife, I guess. They're called Gay Critique. That's their YouTube channel. The dude there, he did a really good job with the MCU timeline, and he's actually called out all the mistakes and everything. And I don't know. I haven't watched him in a while, but I'd imagine he's still doing that stuff. Where he's fitting it all into the timeline. And like he did a really good job at like it was easy for him to actually put the dates in, even with all the mistakes that were put in there, because he's like, well, actually, on this newspaper it says, this happened at this event happened in like July of 2008. Like he goes that much in depth, and he includes all the shows and everything. And we're talking like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, Luke Cage, The Defenders, all that stuff. Fitting it all in the timeline, and it's easy for him to do. But like with Star Wars, it's like, you can't even give us a definitive amount of time that has passed between Ahsoka and Return of the Jedi. 0 to 5 years. How about just say 3 years after, or 4 years after, or whatever? Or this takes place right before The Mandalorian. Why can't you just say that?
Well, I think it shows that they're scared. Like you said, I think they just like if they're scared if they give an answer and it's wrong, or you know what I mean, to retcon something else, or they'll receive a lot of like hate for that. So they're like scared to give a definitive answer. Right.
No, I agree with that. I think the thing is they're a reactionary studio. They react to memes. They react to what people are saying. If they see any contradictions, they want to fix that. I seriously think they're going to use Ahsoka and maybe the Ahsoka movie to explain why Palpatine came back in Rise of Skywalker. I seriously do think that's what's going to happen. That's what they're I think they're inching their way to telling us that to kind of fix that little plot hole there.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I could definitely see them like, traveling to wherever, the world between worlds or something, trying to get, trying to help get Ezra or something, and like you hear Palpatine's voice, and it kind of and like it hints at like, oh, like that's potentially where he came from,
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the thing is, with the whole Anakin thing, I feel like people actually genuinely think that's Anakin. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like it's not really explained.
Well, there's no way that can actually be Anakin. That's either a force projection or probably the son of Mortis or whatever. It's not Anakin. It can't be. If they actually say yes, this is Anakin from the prequel, like sometime like he traveled to the world between worlds sometime during the Clone Wars, that's the stupidest thing they could ever put out there. That's not Anakin. It can't be. It literally cannot be Anakin.
Well, I mean, I think I think the two options are probably either, like you said, it's some kind of projection and or maybe the force, like father or son or one of them. Yeah, like one of them. Or it could be that maybe it's his force ghost, like at the end of Return of the Jedi, like you see, it's Hayden Christensen is like the new addition.
I don't think so. I don't think so, mainly because we see him kind of like when you're going through all those visions or whatever. He's wearing different, like he's got that armor on, and he has a different haircut. When they're during the Siege of Mandalore section. He's got different looks to him as the episode goes on. So I don't think that's Anakin as a Force ghost. That seems very unlikely to me, personally. But I don't like you enough to agree with you anyway. So
good. Honestly, though, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't know. I also don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care that much, but
same thing
at
with
the same time,
who is like Marok? It's like, who is Marok? Like, are they ever going to reveal who that was? And it's like, maybe.
I think that's
maybe not. Who cares? Like,
yeah, I think matter. I couldn't
he
care less.
Stuff with smoke, and that's it. He's dead.
Yeah, what's funny is that reminded me a lot of when they killed off Snoke in The Last Jedi. It just made me feel that way when that happened. But even then, I didn't necessarily feel exactly how I did watching that, watching The Last Jedi, because I'm just so uninterested in Star Wars at this point that when she just killed him, I was just like, huh. It reminds me of The Last Jedi when they killed off Snoke, but I'm not angry about it. I'm like, okay, let's see what else they got in this episode.
Yeah, I agree though. Like, it's similar to when they just killed Snoke, and you're sitting there, and I'm like, they didn't explain who he was. Like, I don't when you watch these movies,
angry that they killed him.
Yeah, it's like I don't even mind if they killed him. I mean, if you want to go a new direction, fine, whatever. But my thing is, like, they didn't even bother explaining how he fits in at all. Like, they just literally glossed over it.
Yep.
And it just blew my mind, because like when you watch these movies, you're like, how did you watch 4, 5, 6, and then you go to 7, and you're like, who's Snoke? Right? Who is this guy? He's just some guy who's strong enough to make Kylo go down to his knees. It's like you'd think he'd be impressive,
Yeah, he literally pulls Force lightning out of the floor for some reason.
Yeah, for some reasons. I don't know why you would.
So stupid. I hated that so much.
Why not just literally just zap them?
Yeah. Because that they wanted to be different.
But hey, Palpatine said it. He's like, I made Snoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
somehow
whatever that means.
Palpatine has made Snoke.
Yeah, Lord knows what that even means. I don't like.
Yeah.
Sure, I don't know.
Well, I think they wanted to let us know that Snoke was actually a clone because at the very beginning, when Kylo Ren first meets Palpatine, he's walking through that chamber or whatever, and you see like tubes or glass cases of like Snoke. It clearly looked like Snoke.
They're growing more Snokes.
Yeah, so it's like he was a clone, but like why was he cloning more of him? It made no fucking sense. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know. It's exhausting trying to figure it out.
But there were a couple cool little things about the episode. Like I found like the clone troopers. Like I thought it was really cool that they were like actually practical. Like it looked like they were practical troopers.
Yeah.
Right? Like they weren't like, because like in the prequels, I think it was just CGI. I'm trying to think. I think just CGI, right? Those clone troopers. It wasn't actual like. At least I'm trying to think.
It depends, because if you're talking about like they probably had a bunch of stand-ins, in clone trooper armor. In this show, I can see them actually using, because there were only like 3 or 4, maybe 5 clone troopers in a scene at a time. So it's easy just to have like 5 people just wear the stormtrooper or the clone trooper armor, because you don't see their faces,
Yeah.
But when it came to particularly Revenge of the Sith, and I'm sure the Clone Wars is what, or Attack of the Clones as well, when the fighting's happening, I'm sure they had like a bunch of CGI clones. That's fine.
Because I was gonna say, I think they were all CGI in the prequels, so it's kind of cool to at least see them like in actual live action.
Yeah,
like see the armor. That was.
I know. In Revenge of the Sith, right when, God damn, I keep yawning. Right when Obi-Wan's about to leave for Utapau to take on Grievous, he's surrounded by a bunch of clones. Commander Cody's there, and they all have their helmets off, but it's just all Tamara Morrison's face. All that you can clearly tell is CGI. I'm sure a lot of the fight scenes were CGI, but some of them I'm sure were just people standing in.
Are you sure?
So, due to complications, he will not be joining us anymore. We're just heading in different directions, so I'm very sad about that. But
yeah, HR, we're gonna get them.
HR, yeah,
no, but yeah, we're professionals.
yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, and like little things, like I the clones had what that dude, his voice, the guy who played Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, Tamara Morrison.
Well, Jango Fett, I guess, but you know what I mean. Like, that was kind of cool. At least they stuck to consistency there. I found it a little weird. I'm sure this is in the Clone Wars show, but why is Ahsoka's nickname Snips from Anakin? Is that right? Because he calls that a couple times. I don't know if that's like.
Yeah, so they're stupid. Basically, the only reason is because he. So I can't remember if she started calling Anakin Sky Guy, because Anakin Skywalker, she wanted to call him Sky Guy or whatever, and he looked at her and he's like, you're getting pretty snippy with me. I'm just going to call you Snips.
Okay.
It's so stupid.
Unless they like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it a couple
That's
times, and I was like,
that's
okay, I'm
as deep
sure
as
that's
it goes. Yeah.
yeah. He said it a few
But,
times. I mean, I figured it obviously referred back to the show, but like we
yeah.
keep saying, it's like you really have to watch the Dave Filoni shows to understand
Mhm.
anything because they don't.
Yeah.
From an outsider looking
Exactly.
in, I'm like, I don't know what any of this. I just assume a lot. I just assume things are going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like Dave Filoni. I don't know what their goal was here to get them to watch to get like new people who haven't watched the Clone Wars or Rebels to watch the Clone Wars or Rebels, or if they made this specifically for those people who have watched those shows. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
very confused as to what their goal is here. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
because they just assume you know everything,
Right.
every
Yeah.
intimate detail. They don't even try to like give any kind of backstory.
Yeah. No, they don't. And
So even if you watched it, like if you just forget some things, oh well, watch
yep.
it again.
Yeah. But I don't know. This show.
But there were dumb stuff though in the episode. Like, of course, you can't forget the space whales.
Oh, I forgot about the space whales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how else are they going to travel, whatever, across galaxy or whatever?
Yeah, right. How else can they make the trip? I
Yeah,
don't know.
that was funny too. It's like, oh, she's like interacting with the space whales, and Ahsoka goes outside the ship without a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
guess you can just breathe. I don't, you would think the air would be.
Well, it's not like they were. I mean, granted, they weren't necessarily in space, but like they looked pretty high up. So I don't. I
Yeah, that's
don't.
what I mean. Like you would think elevation. It's like it'd be pretty hard to breathe. I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
Just passes out.
yeah, she's like, hey, God, it just passes out.
Don't worry, I'm gonna tame one of these space whales. How are you gonna do that? Oh, I'm gonna go outside. Wait, do you think that's a really good idea? She goes outside and she like raises her hand. She just fucking slowly just falls.
It's just oh.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
there was a lot of stuff to me that didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like she woke up in the water, right? But even
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of confusing to me because it's like, was she in the water the whole time? And like all this stuff was in her head? Like she was just kind of, not hallucinating, but imagining it? Or was she actually in the world between worlds and it just kind of put her in the water?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know
You know what I mean?
because Jason and Hera apparently heard them fighting.
That's true. So
Okay,
yeah, it
and
can't
so
just
it's
be
like,
like
yeah,
yeah, I guess that's true. So it can't just be like a hallucination.
no,
Because I was gonna say, otherwise, I'm like, was she just in the water drowning this whole time? Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Because like, how long is she in there not breathing?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like their answer for any sort of logic is just force. The force. It does.
Yeah.
It's just the force. Like we're not supposed to question it. Whereas like George Lucas made rules for the force.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
I remember the YouTuber like Jeremy Johns. He does like movie reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's a big Star Wars fan, and I remember like he said that the one time, one of his videos. I don't I forget exactly, but he said that where like George Lucas's logic is like, well, they have the Force, but like they can't do anything or everything. There are limitations. Yeah. Versus Disney, it's like we could do whatever we want. It's the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so true. Like you could really see it.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're just so I don't know. I just think their whole perception of the Force is totally not what George Lucas intended it to be, So the fact that people are saying, "Oh, Dave Filoni knows everything because he worked with George Lucas and he was he mentored Dave Filoni. That's why stuff is so good." It's really just it's kind of like with Marvel. Anything that is Marvel that has the Marvel logo on it, they'll love. If it has Dave Filoni's name under it, they love it.
Yeah.
Or just Star Wars in general. It's like it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any damn sense. Ahsoka is just a walking, talking, unfortunately breathing continuity error.
Yeah. Well, like you said with the Force, like they keep adding stuff that doesn't make sense. Like in the show, right? Like the I forget the bad guy's name, but he breaks that sphere in half, right?
Oh yeah.
Saber. And then Ahsoka in this episode like picks it up, and she could just like feel where
Oh, that's right.
Remember that? Like she just felt it. She was like, oh yeah, this is and like use the Force to like. I don't even understand. Like, how does it make any sense?
Yeah. So that's actually something they took from the Jedi Fallen Order game.
Really?
Because it's called a Force Echo. Because in that game, it's just used there to like get additional like fucking points, skill points or whatever. You can scan people's bodies and shit and get more intel on shit. And there are these like Force echoes. You just touch something and he can hear stuff. He can hear about like the history of what happened there, like, he'll hear like children screaming or something like that. It's literally the same thing what they did here in this show. So they literally took that from a fucking video game where, you have to just suspend your disbelief for a video game anyway. So like it's Star Wars. Of course you're going to have to suspend your disbelief a lot.
Same thing with like Force healing. It's like that's a cool like in a game makes sense.
Yeah.
But in terms of the actual movies, it's like no, because otherwise, like in Rise of Skywalker, like she Kylo literally gets stabbed with a lightsaber, and then Rey heals him.
Yep.
And it's just in the movie also Rey dies, and he heals her back to life. And it's like if you could do that kind of stuff, I mean, why didn't someone help Qui-Gon, or why didn't what I mean? There's so many things that could have been done.
Yep.
So
and
it's cool in the game, even a little bit of the EU, they kind of do it a little bit, but sparingly, Yeah.
And that's the thing. They want to use this whole Sabine. Oh, well, they didn't actually, Sabine, they, was stabbed, but it wasn't like an essential artery or anything like that. Okay. But it's still a lightsaber wound that's burning your insides. And not only that, like when Rey stabbed Ben, she had to heal him immediately or he was going to die. Yeah. But she dies and he heals her, he revives her, but it kills him. So it's almost like they just use it as a way to just get shit to happen. They use the Force for it to just happen. And if you can use the Force to heal stab wounds, why didn't Ahsoka just do that right on the spot with Sabine? Why did they have to take her to a medical facility to heal up? Why didn't Ahsoka because apparently she's Gandalf the White in this show now. I don't know if you picked up on it.
Yep.
Dave Filoni has always a little fun fact. Dave Filoni has always wanted Ahsoka since maybe Rebels or the end of the Clone Wars. I can't remember. He wanted Ahsoka to be like a Gandalf-like character. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
Really?
So he made it official in this show.
Yeah. I did kind of pick up on that when she came out of this ship.
And she's just wearing all white.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I guess she's Ahsoka the White now.
Yeah.
But funny. But I was gonna say, like, even in The Force Awakens, remember when it's like, oh, this lightsaber, like it calls on you.
Calls to you.
Yeah, or calls to you, and it's like, what does that even mean? Like,
that's never happened in Star Wars.
Yeah, like since when can you use the Force to like to I don't even know how to describe it. Like communicate with objects. Like I'm confused. Like how does it make sense?
The
They're just making
lightsaber
up as they go
chooses
along.
the Jedi.
So they just make it up as they go along. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that never made sense to me because it's like, oh, it calls to you. What the fuck does that mean? A lightsaber is just an inanimate object that a Jedi has to construct himself.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just an object. It's just a weapon. It's like saying your gun calls to you. It's like what with a stick. It's like
Yeah,
why, it doesn't make any sense. Why would it?
it's not Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I'd buy it if it was established in the original trilogy that lightsabers are powerful weapons that can choose its wielder. Okay, fine. I'd be willing to accept that if that was established in either of the trilogies, but it wasn't. It was just for that one movie, and it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. So yeah, they just make up the Star Wars like Force rules whenever they want, whenever it's convenient. They just
and then when it's stupid, they never do it again.
Yep. Like,
when it's stupid, because clearly the force healing shit, they could have just healed Sabine right off the bat. If Ahsoka is so fucking powerful, they could have just had her heal up right then and there, and it would have been nothing. It would have been nothing.
I mean, to be fair,
Sabine was an episode.
And to be fair, Sabine was up and walking around the very next day. So
yeah,
I guess
exactly.
Like
the very next episode, she was fine.
Yeah,
she was almost entirely healed. So literally, all they ended up doing anyway was wasting one episode. They wasted 45 minutes of our time.
I mean, honestly, the whole show has kind of felt like that.
Yes,
like realistically, I feel like the entire show could probably be condensed into like maybe 1 or 2 episodes so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you really could have cut. It just feels like an entire filler arc. This entire show so far.
Yep, I agree. And like I said, I feel like when I was watching this new episode, it felt like everything in the episode was just pointless. The whole crux of the episode was they were trying to look for Ahsoka, but the whole time, like you could have taken that whole her going into the world between worlds and seeing Anakin, you could have taken all of that out and just have that one portion where they look for Ahsoka. Jason feels Ahsoka, so they go out and they look for her, pick her up. Okay, now the space wheels are here. So, you could have taken a lot of this episode out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm convinced you could condense this entire show into a 1.5 hour movie. At this point, I mean, nothing's happening.
Well, that's a lot of these Disney shows, like these like Disney Marvel / Star Wars shows. I feel like is just, I don't know. I feel like you could easily condense them down. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of filler, a lot of fluff.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I said it before, but this is like they gave us a show, but they make it the most simplistic plot because they have no reason to make it a show. There's nothing justifying a show. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series wasn't even supposed to be a series. It was supposed to be a fucking movie.
Yeah, and like I don't like the idea of doing a story following Obi-Wan at that time. I just personally don't really care for it. But if you were to do a story, I'd rather a movie. I feel like that would make more sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. It wouldn't. The Kenobi book is good. I did really like that book. I don't want to see a live action. It doesn't deserve to be a movie or a show. As much as I did enjoy that book, like there are a lot of moments. What makes the book really good is that you're reading Obi-Wan's thoughts and feelings, so you don't, I mean, well, not necessarily you're reading his feelings, but because the majority of the story is actually it actually is in the perspective of this other character who just happens to come across him, to keep coming across him.
Yeah.
But he has like, there are moments in the book where Obi-Wan will just sit there and meditate and talk to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon never responds back or anything like that. But those are those moments where you're actually reading how he's feeling. And, you know, it's so good. And then you also get to read how the other characters are feeling. So, I mean, there are things that you can tell on screen, then there are things that you just can't. And thoughts and feelings, particularly when it comes to a book adaptation, you just can't really translate well to a physical media.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unless he's like narrating his life, I guess. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, not
had
really.
a narrator, but
Yeah.
I've never read it. I actually have it on the ebooks. It's on my phone, but I've never read the novelizations of the prequel trilogy. But I hear the Revenge of the Sith novelization is really fucking good. Like,
Oh, really?
Like, I hear it sounds like it's better than the fucking movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to read that.
It's funny. I have the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, but it's like a kid's version.
Oh, okay. It's like a junior novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I never read it, but it's just like, I'm sure it's not obviously as good.
Oh yeah,
it's probably real version.
Baseline, like, okay, this is pretty much what happens in the movie, but like a kid version of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you how did you feel about when Ahsoka and Anakin were fighting, and then like I think Anakin like knocks her lightsabers out of her hand or something like that, and then she like somehow gets behind him and just like takes his lightsaber from him.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah, because it was like a quick little shot where she just like is behind him.
Yeah, like I think like I said, I think he knocks him out of her hands, so she's like got no weapons, and then I forget exactly, but yeah, I think she like gets behind him and like takes his lightsaber, and she's like, "I choose to live."
Yeah,
I found that part so cringe. Like, I found the line cringe, and I didn't like. I don't know. It's just, to me, I was like, how did he was completely dominating that fight, and then she just out of nowhere somehow got the best of him.
Well, I think they were trying to make it where she didn't want to turn out like Anakin. She didn't want to turn to the dark side. I think that's kind of the whole point of that. But the thing is, I don't care enough about Ahsoka. She should have learned her lesson in the Clone Wars. You know, or at the very least in Rebels. Yeah, exactly. She should have already had that struggle, but she just never did. Apparently. Well, she did, but according to this show, she didn't. You know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you know, I don't want to turn out like my master. I don't want to turn out like Anakin. I don't want to go to the dark side. Okay, but like, how long have you been doing this? Do you really all of a sudden now it's a temptation for you? When you made it a point to not be either neither light or dark side.
Well, that's the thing.
But I guess like bring into Ahsoka the White.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say that too. It's like she's not even like, I mean, I guess I get it that turning to the dark side is always like a fear whenever you are force trained, I guess. But to me, it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's just like, I feel like Anakin's descent, like in the story, his descent was very slow. You know what I mean? It was many factors. It wasn't just one thing, you know? Yeah. So I feel like for her, it's like, I don't know. It just, to me, it's like, at this point in her life, it's like, I don't know. I don't see why she would even consider that an option. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what if I did? It's like, I don't think you would. You know what I mean?
And, you know, it's funny that you say that too, because after having just watched the Tales of the Jedi, well, I didn't watch all of it, but the ones that deal with Count Dooku, which are like the first few episodes, you see him slowly descend into the dark side, essentially. Like literally the first episode, it's Count Dooku with a very young Qui-Gon, and they go to this village, and I guess these people were kidnapped, but apparently they had the whole thing all wrong. So like I guess the I don't know, like the chancellor of that world or whoever, I don't know. The leader of that world pretty much demands that these people that kidnapped everyone be slaughtered, and Count Dooku and Qui-Gon were just like, no, we're not doing that. And so they were getting ready to fight, and Count Dooku starts like force choking the dude, and Qui-Gon had to be like, no, stop, like, knock it off. Of course the fight still breaks out, but it was little stuff like that. And then there was also an episode where Count Dooku and Mace Windu were on a mission together, and it was kind of similar to that, where he just ended up killing these people, and so you do kind of see a slow descent there, but it's like, again, that's their own canon. This is Dave Filoni telling us that, the dark side, you can descend in there will be signs of you turning to the dark side. There will be a slow descent. But with Ahsoka, I guess it's just sudden.
Yeah, I get. It's just to me, I just feel like at this point in her life, all the things that she's overcome, like I don't see why she would even think that is a possibility. Like at this point, you know what I mean? Like if you were going to turn to the dark side, I feel like she would have done it already. You know what I mean? Yeah. It'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like you, well, maybe not you. You are kind of crazy. I was going to say it'd be like someone thinking they're like, what if I become like a psychopath, And like, I mean, for you maybe you actually are. I don't know. I've seen how you play games. I don't know. But for most people, I was like, for most people, that's not even a thought.
You didn't like me leaving that cat to rot in the dungeons in Harry Potter?
Yeah, in Harry Potter. You went over there purposely to save him, just to leave him.
Yeah, I didn't even save him. I just had the one dude fucking see where his cat was.
Just to leave him.
Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, that was funny. I had a great time with that.
But yeah, like most people, like that isn't even a thought, right? That it's like, could I be a psychopath? It's like, no. You know what I mean? Like the people who go down that path, that, you know what I mean? That's a process that would have happened already. You don't even consider it at this point in your life. You know what I mean? Like you don't consider turning to the dark side now. It's like, why? Come on,
Yeah.
At least for me, I just feel like Ahsoka. It's like I don't see any reason for her to think that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just them trying, kind of like what you were saying about like the forced drama shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It just it was forced just so they could like put it in there, and yeah, it just didn't work. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem. What's that?
No, I was just testing to see what the light would look like.
Oh,
but it was just really bright. So I was like, I'll leave it.
I'm trying to find this clip here. I think I found it. Yeah. Where is it? Share screen.
You don't have to.
Good. That makes me want to do it even more.
To get the cat. Nah, I wouldn't say all that nice, but look at me. You look like that.
God, that game audio really is loud.
From the Goonies. Hey, look! I found the cat.
Oh, there's the cat.
Oh,
Cool is you can find rats in boxes, which for whatever reason I'm not finding any. What the hell? Where are all these rats? There better be a fucking rat.
You should have left the cat to fight this.
Oh, fight him off. Oh, fight him off. All right, see ya.
You should have just left the cat.
We'll see you win.
yeah, fight him.
I get my ass beat by a fucking rat.
I was gonna say that rat doing more damage than like anything else in the game.
That's what I get for being a threat.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh yeah, of course I'm gonna save the cat. I love cats.
I love cats.
Hurry up!
A bean.
Get the bean. The bean.
A bean.
Are you coming, man, or what?
Good times. I used to do this shit all the time. Back in the
The thing
day.
that's annoying is if you get too far, the cat will just either stop following you or get
I'm
stuck
just-
in the corner.
I'm just
Like,
waiting for the green light to come out of your wand.
it really pays to be
No,
this
no,
guy. Hurry up, man. You got all day. All right, see ya.
Just look at this
At
psycho
least he
just
knows he
leaves him.
got closure. He got closure. At least he knows
Yep.
that his cat's down there.
At least he knows.
Most people, I'd be like, no, they're not psychos, but you know, there's someone. Oh, this side, there's someone I know. He might
Yeah.
be.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
Huh?
he shouldn't have lost his cat. If anything, he's a terrible pet owner.
That's
That's what I
problem.
did,
That's his fault.
That's what I did to convince that one lady about her. I think it was her Niffler in Hogwarts Legacy, because she wanted help getting her Niffler back, and I found the Niffler. I give it back, or I come back with it. I didn't give it back to her, of course. And,
Oh, of course.
I convinced her that the Niffler was better off with me because she's a terrible pet owner. She's like, no, I won't lose him again. I'm like, well, sorry, I can't take that chance because he's
done it
a
once.
living. He's an animal. He's an innocent being. Like I have to take him in. I'm sorry, I'll take better care of him than you can. She's like, okay, well, just make sure you feed him regularly and all this other stuff. And immediately after I took the Niffler from her and I told her I was taking the Niffler, I sold him.
Oh my god!
I sure did. And everyone's like, "Oh, well, you're a Gryffindor. Like, you should be in Slytherin if you're acting like that." I'm like, "But that's the ultimate cover up, dude.
Yeah, like,
Because I
that's the
am a
best part.
Gryffindor, people are gonna least suspect me of turning to a dark wizard." And it's listen. Being bad is good. It feels good.
It feels
So
good.
it feels good. And I think we all just need to embrace the dark side in all of us. But
I mean, no.
but we did get really sidetracked. I do want to talk about this David Jaffe stuff.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, God is right. So we talked about it, God, last week. Last week we talked about him. Basically, I'm going to try and pull something up here. We talked about his little response to Az from Heels versus Babyface. His rant about essentially about Starfield and the trans allegory they put in there.
Mm.
I do want to say before we start tearing into this guy, there is a part of this live stream that I feel like is kind of important. And it should be the standard for people who have differing opinions, different views. I think it's important to sort of understand that, look, this guy only wanted to be on this live stream for an hour. He had a doctor's appointment. I think that was kind of bullshit, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't want to tear into this guy too harshly, because I think we should at least show him a little bit of respect for walking into a room with people who disagree with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Especially for 5.5 hours. That's a lot more than I can say about myself. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know about you personally, but there has to be some sort of recognition when it comes to, like, hey, he did get on here. He was willing to have these conversations. He was willing to stand his ground, even though how I feel his views were a little, for lack of a better word, radical. I feel like it's important to address that. And there's a clip here that I think is a pretty nice clip to show to start off before we start tearing into this guy. So let me pull this up real quick. Okay. So basically, at this point, they were talking for about almost 3.5 hours before they decided, let's talk about video games for a little bit. So I thought this was a pretty nice change of pace, and I thought it said a lot about all four of these guys right here. So we'll just start.
Is that, in your opinion, discrimination then?
Sure. But every law is discriminating. Like I said, you pick and choose what you're willing, the First Amendment has regulations on it. Second Amendment should, but it doesn't. That's every law is going to be making choices. Otherwise they wouldn't be laws. It would just be chaos.
All right, we've gone about 3.5 hours.
We are crazy motherfuckers.
and
we didn't even talk about video games. What the fuck is this?
We got about 30 minutes in. 30 minutes.
Let me tell you something.
We got a little bit.
Let's do it quick. Are you guys playing Baldur's Gate 3?
No, I'm excited for Tomb Raider remasters though.
I saw
Did you
that.
see that?
I did, but let me ask you a question though,
Okay.
because that is great nostalgia wise. Do you think that's going to hold up in this day and age? Like
Absolutely.
In the age of Uncharted, do you think someone's going to play this and go, oh, she controls weird, or it's not as interesting?
Well, there's two different control methods. You can play with the classic controls or with the new control scheme that they have come up with. But
okay.
The fandom is really excited about this. We're seeing a recognizable Lara Croft that globally a lot of people are recognizing. But I absolutely think that this is going to speak volumes, and it's going to show a lot how much this sells, things of that, whether or not, because this has been an argument, will classic Tomb Raider stand the test of time? time? Is there a
Right.
market for that? So we'll see.
Did you see the
I think-
skin? Do you have the operator skin yet in Call of Duty?
They just kind of get together and they're talking about video games for a little bit, just kind of loosening up the tension and all that stuff. I think that's kind of nice. And again, it says a lot about them for just taking a break and, you know, maybe just like, let's talk video games for a little bit. That was nice. They also talk about Lara Croft's proportions, and it proves the importance that we need to have Lara Croft with big boobs, because it just brings everyone together. No one argues about it. This is why we need accurate Lara Croft boobage.
This is the path to peace, to world peace.
It really is. Lara Croft's boobs definitely do the job. They also go through God of War lawsuit, which I'd never even heard about, but that's not really related to anything. But basically, I want to see if I can find it. He kind of goes off the rails, and he basically was telling Melanie Mack, who is a woman, that she needs to get over the idea that there are biological men going into bathrooms, into a woman's bathroom, where a woman would probably be at their, maybe not their most vulnerable, but they're pretty vulnerable in a public bathroom, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of issues there. I want to see if I can just try to find it real quick. But he basically was telling her to get over it. It seemed very alarming. God, I wish I could find it. There's a lot going on in this live stream. They talk about a lot of different things. Bathroom discussion. Let's see. That might be it. Do you have anything to say before we start this?
No, I might step away for like a minute, but
Okay.
just like you can play it, 'cause I'll still hear it. I just, you know, I won't be like at the screen. And I just
All right.
don't like it.
No problem. Good. So we're gonna start this without him, and you know, we'll see what happens here.
because where I can't even be comfortable using a female restroom because there can be a man in there who doesn't even try, who doesn't even attempt to look like a woman. But even if he did, that's not fair.
Okay, of course it's not fair if that specific scenario is happening, but we already have laws against that, right? You're not allowed to.
It happened in the Olympics, during the Olympics.
Well, listen,
they changed the rule to let all men enter because they didn't want to make a rule for a trans.
Let's cut to the chase on this. Do you guys think that your take on and I forgot your question, but I'll get back to it though. Do you guys actually think these anecdotal stories, and if you do, you do, I can't help you, are representative of the culture in America at large when it comes to trans issues? Do you think the idea that most bathrooms for women are unsafe now because trans women can use them? Do you really think that's a thing?
I don't, but okay. I'll let me clarify.
By the way, I want to make sure that you
if it
never
infringes
get
on
close
one,
to my kids.
Yes, it is. All it
because
is
you're
one.
gay. You're
if
gay,
it infringes
right?
on one woman.
So my thing about this is, you know, he's basically just, you know, as long as we're not hurting anyone's feel, like the problem is, Melanie just says it here. It only takes one, right? The thing is, he goes on to sort of equate this and basically say, well, why don't we just separate the blacks and the Jews? You know, why don't we just give them their own bathroom? But the thing is, we know that there is ridiculous. But let's say someone walks into a bathroom, a man walks into a bathroom and they say, well, I identify as a female. Okay, you're allowed in. And then he follows some young girl, this attractive woman, and follows her in there. And well, now she's at her most vulnerable. She has no way to defend herself. I mean, the thing is, the problem with this is that in this day and age, we can't really trust people as often. People aren't very trustworthy. There's a reason why a lot of women, and some men too, I'm sure, have stuff like tasers, pepper spray, stuff like that. And depending on who it is, maybe a gun. But the fact of the matter is, we have those things because we can't trust people. You lock your doors before leaving the house because you don't trust people. You don't fully trust your neighbors because you don't know them 100%. Maybe you do, some of them, but not everyone. The thing is, you're trusting that this person truly is what they say they are, but what if they're not? What if they're just lying? What if they are lying to intentionally do harm?
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing is I don't understand the point of separating the bathrooms at all. If we just, like, what's the point of separating if we could just feel differently than, what we're born as? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, why even separate it? Why don't we just all go together then?
Yeah.
If there's so much trust, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. If there's so much trust in strangers, essentially, then yeah, why don't we let's just have it all. But the thing is, the whole his argument is, oh well, why don't we just separate the blacks and the Jews and all this other stuff? Well, that's racially motivated for one. That those are two different things. Like, we're talking about literal men who are stronger than women that are the whole point is we're not these men. Sorry, I was reading the private chat. Fucking threw me off. But men are normally stronger than women. That's why you got a lot of these trans women that are competing in these female sports and winning.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also like, it's also weird too, because it's like, I kind of get what he's saying, I guess, in a sense. Oh, we shouldn't discriminate, but it's like we already are discriminating. That's why we have two different bathrooms. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of weird to me to be like, oh, you shouldn't discriminate in this instance, but at the same time, we're still kind of discriminating in that instance because we still have separate bathrooms. You could just kind of use whatever. Like, it's a very weird gray area. I don't understand why. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean,
if you already discriminate men and women, I don't know why you didn't just do that.
Right. Now, Travis, who is at the top right here, I don't know if you know this. I don't know how much of side scrollers you watch, but Travis is gay. So, if anything, that means we're not homophobic because we like Travis. Travis is nice people. No, no. He brings up the point. He's like, well, why don't we just have a bathroom for trans people, specifically for trans people?
Like, yeah, I mean, and some places have disabled bathrooms.
Yeah.
Or bathrooms for disabled people, I'm saying,
Yeah.
So it's just like,
and that's the
you know what I mean?
thing.
Because obviously you have to accommodate certain people. So it's like, why not, do that for people in the trans community? You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's fair. You can't. The thing is, you like I keep saying, you can't trust everybody. So yeah, this person might truly be trans. They might truly just need to use the restroom, whatever. But it does take one. And where does it end?
Mm-hmm.
There are rules in place for a reason, and I think he even made mention right before getting into the Tomb Raider stuff, the gaming stuff. He mentioned about like how the Second Amendment should have regulations, but doesn't. I don't know what he's talking about, because I know a lot of people. It's hard to get a gun. It's literally hard to buy one.
Yeah, and it's also weird too, because it's like, because he's like, oh, we have the First Amendment, but like there's certain things you can't say, and it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, you can own a gun. There's certain things you can't do with it, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like we already have limits. You can't shoot a gun in a residential area,
right.
For starters. Let's just say, like, you know what I mean. There already are limits on how how and when you can use your firearm. Kind of weird to be like, oh, we need more limits. It's like, sure, dude. know?
Exactly. And I think a lot of the stuff that he brings up just don't make sense. I think he doesn't just I just don't think he quite understands what he's talking about here. Yeah, I just kind of want to skim through this. I have some stuff that I put on my phone that I wanted to touch on. To be honest with you, I can't quite remember what it is they were talking about. Let's see. This might be it. About as. If it loads.
The bar guy would.
I also want to defend Az again on this situation, because him having a very passionate discussion with his audience is not comparable with a woman screaming at a guy because he didn't call her a they them. This was between his audience. Az is not screaming at somebody who disagrees with him and having that sort of discussion. Az is capable of having a very civil discussion with somebody. But when he's hyped up by his chat, like it's like a war cry, like, garage to the horde. That's a completely different scenario.
Yeah, one is his platform, and the other
would
one's
expect
like a
somebody
public.
with a platform to be a little more responsible and be able to counter being hyped up by
a little more responsible. I hear this a lot. I hear this a lot where it's like, oh, you have an audience, and it's your responsibility to make sure that your audience doesn't go out, and that you're not telling your audience to go out and do stuff. First of all, a lot of these people, let's just talk about Az for a second. Az isn't telling anybody to do anything. He's just voicing his frustrations. He's just voicing his concerns. He's angry, right? So what responsibility does he have to anyone? Like, we're all free to think how we want to think. I'm sure there are people in his audience that were probably like, yeah, maybe he could have toned it down a little bit. But it's not his responsibility. He's just there playing a game. What responsibility does he have to anyone?
Well, that's something that I feel like I always hear that from like people that agree with like Dave here, where it's like, I don't know. I never understood that logic of like, well, if you have a platform, you have a responsibility to push like certain ideas and, certain morals. And it's like, I don't think so. I think if you, as long as you don't break terms and conditions, as long as you're not like inciting violence or anything like that.
Yeah, you're
I
not
don't
telling people to go out and like, oh, if you find a person like this, or well, let's talk about his responsibility to add responsibility video to Az, where he was just like, oh, you know, if you want to find people to go out, if you want to find people that look like they disagree with you on certain things, you can go out and kill them. He's not saying anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
yeah, it's like he's not inciting violence in any way. He was just giving his opinion, almost like we said, like a review on the game. It's just this is his opinion on it. He didn't like, you know, that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see where a responsibility comes in. Like, what?
Right. And apparently, I didn't know this. I thought I was under the impression that he was only playing for a couple hours. He played for 30 hours before this happened. Before his rant. So yeah, I'm sure he was really liking it. I'm sure he was really liking it, and then they decided to ruin it for him. Essentially, that's what happened. So you can't really blame the guy too much. Yeah, maybe he went a little over the top, but at the same time, he was frustrated, just like a lot of us get frustrated. That's kind of where Craig's analogy to like the Mormons came in.
Mm-hmm. And just like, and even like what Melanie said too, like it's one thing to like, you know, post a video where if the person doesn't like it, they can just click off and say, you know what, I don't agree with this guy, unsubscribe. I think that's very different than, like she said, where it's like when you're in public yelling at someone who's just doing their job, and you know what I mean? And it's a very public scene, and that's uncalled for, right? Like, I don't think it's right to compare the two. You know what I mean?
Exactly. He's not inciting violence. He's not going out and hurting people. Like, he's yelling in front of a camera.
Yeah, about a video game.
Little responsibility to be had there.
By his chat and go, I'm talking about some things that are important, and maybe I can keep that in check. But I don't give a fuck. I don't watch the guy. It was just my comment. I'm glad you like him.
So, you know, the best metaphor I can give is when we see like the climate protesters who kind of sit down in the middle of the road and they're blocking traffic, right? And at a certain point, like most people, it's annoying, right? It's annoying. It is what it is. But at a certain point, something snaps and someone
into the bathroom because of trans man in there. Isn't that blocked?
So I'm not sure what he was trying to say towards the end there. I guess something I actually forgot. I meant to put this to pull it up on Rumble because I think I got blocked on YouTube. I don't know how it is on Rumble. I don't know if it also got clipped out on Rumble. But so yeah, whatever that was there, you know, they had to take out for YouTube, I'm sure. Maybe it's different on Rumble. I honestly don't remember. I didn't check. I shouldn't say I don't remember, but
plus we're on YouTube now, so we probably can't.
So it's probably good.
Play the clip.
But you know, he was bringing up about the you know, people blocking the roads and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, if you're dealing with that every day, you're going to work, and then finally it's just like, look, I'm running late. Yeah, something does snap. And maybe that was what he was trying to show in a video, people blocking the roads, and maybe that's what it was. And someone just like ran over someone blocking the roads, stuff like that. So, but yeah, like he said, eventually something's going to snap. Eventually, after dealing with it every day when you're going to work, yeah, you're going to be pissed. You're going to be like, I'm sick and tired of dealing with this. Mm-hmm. Some people just wake up and they're just miserable. They don't want to deal with stupid shit. So yeah, of course, I wake up like I don't want to deal with traffic. I get angry, you know. So after a while, yeah, you get mad because you know you deal with it all the time.
Well, yeah, that, and also I feel like, you know, whether you agree or disagree, it's like how many times it's like I think part of the analogy he was saying too with the climate change activists is like, you know, it's like how many times are you going to keep like saying the same thing? It's like, okay, fine, like let's say I agree with you. I believe you. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Why are you blocking my road? Why are you, like, I agree with you, whatever, let me go. You know what I mean? Like, why are you still inconveniencing me? I think it's kind of similar to what with this stuff, where it's like, whether you agree or disagree is irrelevant. It's like, okay, like we've heard it and seen it a million times. Like, what do you want from me? You know what I mean? Like, what more do you want? We as a culture, I think we're pretty accepting at this point. It's like, what more do you want from me as a regular, everyday 9-to-5 guy? It's like, let me just play the game and enjoy myself. Let me just drive to work in peace. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the analogy for me.
I agree. To be honest with you, I don't know how much else I really want to talk about without getting too political. I mean, I think we already pretty much crossed that threshold, but
it's a 5.5-hour stream, and they go through looks like a lot of topics.
They go through a lot.
Video games and politics and whatever. Right.
But I will say he also was talking about how do I want to say this without getting in trouble with YouTube? He was talking about the self-deletion rate for trans people. He was talking about how that skyrocketed. But my thing is, he said it skyrocketed in the last like 2-3 years, something like that. Well, you know what else skyrocketed? Self-deletion in general skyrocketed since a certain pandemic. They have come out with those statistics. They have said that publicly. So how do you determine what's what? Maybe there's a correlation between the two, because back then the self-deletion rate was higher because it was harder to live. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, how do we not know it's not just because it got harder and harder for people to live? I know it's hard to, I cringe every time I go get gas because it's $4, $4 to $5. Some places might be higher.
Yeah. And that's, that's something that, you really can't like that's no small thing to just like wave your hand at. It's like, inflation, like you said, with gas and, groceries. I mean, and like, of course, the housing prices and like rent and stuff. I mean, it's, financially, we're in a very difficult time now.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are struggling, and, unfortunately, hard times that tends to rise. That
right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's, we're seeing the ramifications of that,
Right. And the thing is, he talks as if we don't want these people around. That's not inherently true. We just want them to understand, like Travis says it too, at some point in the live stream. He's like, listen, just don't force me to be okay with something when you're like, don't demand that I agree with you. Don't demand that I have to be okay with you, because, he's like, listen, as a gay man, I shouldn't have to, as a gay man, I am telling you, like, I shouldn't have to believe in what you believe, but if you want to persuade me, or if you ask me like, hey, can you use my preferred pronouns? Okay. But if you demand me to use your preferred pronouns, I'm going to be like, no.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like everything is so, extreme, like you said, it's like, if you want to use your preferred pronouns, and like you said, you ask me, hey, I want to use these preferred pronouns, I want to change my name. Yeah, sure, fine. It doesn't affect me, whatever.
Right.
But like, it does bother me when it's like, there's stories of like middle school and high school, girls, like sports teams, who now let, a trans woman into the locker room, and then things happen, some crime will happen, or just the girls don't feel, don't feel like comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's like I think these are good discussions to have. I mean, I'm not even, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like the idea that it's so closed. It's just you have to agree or don't, or you're evil. It's like I think we could just at least see it from our perspective. I mean, I don't think I don't think we're inherently, saying something evil or disgusting. It's like I think these are valid criticisms or valid concerns, that it should at least be discussed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's kind of what Craig says in the live stream. This is why I really like what they do over there. These guys are fucking awesome. Craig has made a point, and it's shown in his live streams. He'll have a conversation with everyone. This is proof of that. He'll have conversations. They don't have to agree. But it's like you just said, it's important to have these discussions. It's important to talk about the elephant in the room. It's important to say these things. We shouldn't just have it be like, oh, this is just how it has to be, because not everyone's going to be okay with how it has to be. That's why we have these discussions. That's why we need to come to some sort of resolution to the real issue at hand. So, I just, the thing is, anymore, people don't want to have discussions. No one wants to have a discussion. It's just we have to come to a conclusion that I like, versus, well, okay. So something that I like about someone like Hideo Kojima, I know it's kind of out there, but since this kind of related to video games anyway, whatever. Hideo Kojima, I feel like I might have brought this up already, but he's very anti nuclear warfare. He's very anti-nuke, whatever. And he lets you know that in the Metal Gear Solid games in particular. But he also presents a counter argument to where he doesn't try to necessarily convince you, but he tries to like let you know, like, I think this is why it's bad, but some people might think about it this way. So, and it kind of leaves you thinking, okay, well, what do you think? It doesn't like preach to you about why it's bad. It's more or less like, here's the pros and cons. That's what I think we need more of, are counter arguments. People need to be more open to counter arguments rather than just, this is how I feel and this is how it should be. I think that's very flawed. It's very one-sided because not everyone's going to feel that way. Not even the people in their own community. Not everyone in their community feels that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another thing too, is I think a lot of people are very I don't know what you want to call it, like tribal, where it's like, I belong in this community, therefore I have to agree with everything that they say, and you're part of that community, you agree with everything they say, and we are at odds, so we must hate each other, Yeah. And it's like a very weird atmosphere, because I feel like most people are just regular people. You know what I mean? Like, most people don't have to be, most people, whether you agree or disagree with things, I feel like most people are in the gray areas. You know what I mean? Like, I don't subscribe to any political party and the other side is the enemy and I hate them. And that, to me, it's just very extreme. It's like, I have my views. They align with both parties, sometimes neither party. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really think, like, I guess the point I make is, like, I just think people, like, independent thought isn't really, there anymore. I feel like a lot of people just kind of agree with their friends or their own, like I said, their own community, and just everyone else is the enemy. And it's because, like, I think that's a problem.
It's too, comfortable. It's more comfortable to talk about to talk to people who think exactly the way you do. I totally get that. I think that there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But when those are the people that you just want to hang around with, just so you can feel validated in your own opinions, there's something wrong with you. Like, I hate to say it like that. Maybe that's not the right thing to say, but there's something wrong with the idea that you only can talk to these people who agree with you rather than just sitting around a room and having a debate about something. I think it's healthy to disagree. I think it's healthy, and you can learn things from other people that you may not agree with. You may not like this person over here because of what they say, but if they come out with a counter argument that really makes you think, you're going to be like, well, shit, I still don't, you don't have to necessarily still agree. You can still stand by what you believe, but it also opens your eyes to like, okay, you have a point. I think that is a very good thing, because if you're the smartest man in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, it's like, you know, just like you said, disagreements are fine. Like, I don't demonize someone because you disagree.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not the enemy. It's just you guys disagree. You know, I think that's a big problem too. I think a lot of people tend to think of disagreements as like, I'm trying to think how to say this, like if someone disagrees with you, that means like they're not moral, you know, like they're bad, they're evil, they don't, you know what I mean? And it's like sometimes we can both agree that something is good or bad, we just have different opinions on it, you know what I mean? Like two people could be good people with good intentions and good morals, they just disagree on, you know what I mean, they just disagree on the details. You know what I mean? I feel like that doesn't happen a lot. I see a lot of, you disagree with me, therefore you're this and you're that. And it's like, not really. You know, I think we have good intentions. It's just we disagree. You know,
exactly. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. There's nothing wrong with having discussions with people that you may or may not think you could get along with. Because at the end of the day, you can get along with people who you may disagree with on just about everything. You know, you can disagree on, you know, like your football team. I mean, the football, you know, fandom, sports in general, you know, they're pretty competitive. They're pretty, that's more toxic than anything, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, you can argue about, you know, oh, who's better, the you know, the Steelers or the Eagles, you know. At the end of the day, you may talk shit, you may say, oh, you're a fucking idiot, you're this or that, but like you're still gonna hang out with that person. You're still gonna, you know, go out and fucking play video games, do whatever, just hang out, you know, bullshit, whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, like, look at us, you know, like obviously the objective, you know, truth is that country music is disgusting, but you know, you can have a wrong opinion on it. You can like it. That's fine.
Okay. So here's the thing. Are we talking about modern country or old, you know, like 80s, 90s country? Because those are two different fucking things. Don't come at me and start talking about some bullshit. Oh, Luke Bryan. Oh, this person listens to Luke Bryan. Obviously, that person who listens to Luke Bryan is gay. We all know this. Literally, this fucking Morgan Wallen that I keep seeing all over the fucking place. Clearly, he is the Justin Bieber of country music these days. Modern country music, not even country music. It's just modern. So don't even come at me with some stupid shit about, oh, no, country music sucks. Well, yeah, it sucks now. What about George Strait? What about Johnny Cash?
So yeah, you can have a wrong opinion. I mean, look, he just had one now.
Okay, so unfortunately, Dan will no longer be joining us. I tried to make it work for you guys. I really tried. Not that anyone's watching, but I really tried to make it work. It's just I can't be in the same room with this guy because he has too many wrong opinions. I think he is terribly misinformed. He is racist. He is all these terrible things, and he should be canceled immediately. His address is 3423 Elm Street. That is in Pittsburgh. So definitely look him up.
Welcome to Elm Street.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out I was trying to like think of an address right off the bat. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, well, what is in the movie? I don't know. It's on Elm Street. That's all I know.
Haddon, it's right down the road from Haddonfield.
Yeah, it's near Haddonfield and Camp Crystal Lake.
Yep, Camp Crystal Lake's right, just right there. It's I don't know. Jesus Christ, but no. In all seriousness, though, I think not having these discussions and like I said, I do to an extent respect David Jaffe for getting on and having these discussions, especially staying on for that long and not necessarily. I mean, he does get loud. He does. I think he did act a little disrespectfully towards them, especially when he started talking about Christianity and stuff like that, and knowing that Melanie Mack is a devout Christian. That seemed like he was trying to kind of take jabs at her.
Yeah.
I don't agree with his approach to certain points. Like he had some approaches that I didn't really think were the most respectful, but I think it's great that he actually sat there and took the hits and, he came up with arguments, but they weren't rational. They weren't necessarily logical arguments to have. But there that is. So,
I mean, like you said, it takes, it does take courage to get on a stream where you said you're gonna, right off the bat, you're disagreeing with at least three people.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah,
and not just them, it's the chat too, right?
Yeah. So I give him props for that. That's definitely tough, and I'm sure that I didn't watch the whole thing, but I get it. 5.5 hours and discussing a lot of sensitive topics. Maybe he just kind of lost his cool for a little bit. I don't know 100%, but I just I think fundamentally we just disagree. Like some of his takes, I'm like, I don't see the world in that way. I just fundamentally don't agree. But like we said, I'm not going to call him the enemy. It's just we disagree. Right. It is what it is.
He did make a comment later in the stream, basically saying that he's frustrated that by the end of the day he's not going to change their minds, and I think that's where he's wrong in that. You shouldn't necessarily go in expecting to change people's minds. Maybe at the most look at it from a different light.
Mm-hmm.
But the mentality of, I'm going to change this person's mind, because he brought up about, I had a Mormon show up to my house and we had a conversation for 30 minutes. And, I left him speechless. And so he leaves, and I'd like to think that I changed his mind or whatever. And it's like, you may like to think that, but you probably didn't. I think him, if that story is true, if that actually did happen, I think that if he thinks that, then he's just setting himself up to be upset. He's setting himself up for disappointment.
Mm-hmm. Well, that, and it's also kind of funny how he's like, I'm not going to be able to, they're not going to change their minds. And it's just like, but you're not open to changing your mind.
Right.
Like, how come you're so, stubbornly set on like, this is what I view and what I view is correct, and they have to change their minds? It's like, maybe you're wrong, right? That we've all been wrong sometimes. I mean, obviously you more than me, but that no, but we've all been wrong sometimes. Where like you hear something and it's like, I was mistaken, or I didn't see it from that perspective, or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, you know, to me, it's just funny how his mindset is, oh, I have to convince them to join my, you know, to you know, like convince them that they're wrong without even thinking the possibility that maybe you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and that's kind of where the radical thinking comes. That's why I think he does have a radical way of thinking, where it's like he's making it his mission to change everyone's minds, but that's not what's going to happen. You know, a lot of people, and I think a lot of it is that people don't want to accept that they're wrong. You know, I hate being wrong, but when I am wrong, I'll admit it. I hate apologizing to people when I did something wrong, but I still feel like I need to because it's the right thing to do. It says a lot more about you as a person when you can admit you're wrong, when you can admit you did something wrong or you said something wrong. It takes a lot for you to actually sit there and be like, yeah, I fucked up. But a lot of people are afraid of acting. A lot of people are afraid of not acting like idiots, but looking like idiots. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of self-hatred nowadays. I mean, I'm kind of there with other people. Like I have some self-hatred. I have some. Everybody's got insecurities, of course. Everybody has something they don't like about themselves. I don't like that you're here, for one. And I hate myself for having you join me. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think, did you freeze up?
No, I'm here. I mean, can you?
Oh, okay. You just didn't react to like talking shit on you. Damn it. I was saying that I hate myself for bringing you on. But, that's so disappointing. Now everything I was saying is ruined now.
Yeah, no, see, I did my job.
No, you know, everyone. I think everyone is at that point where they hate themselves so much that all the thoughts that they have about themselves, all the insecurities they have about themselves, are what other people. They think that's what other people actually do think about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too, you know, is I think a lot of times, you know, we blow things out of proportion in our heads, you know. It's like, oh, I don't know, I did something silly, I look like an idiot. And it's like, in all actuality, most people don't care. you know,
they probably might have noticed it, but then it's just like they forget like 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I remember like I would like walk on campus and like, you know, let's say someone trips. And it's like, yeah, like people might notice for like a split second, like, oh, that guy tripped. Yeah. But like,
who the fuck has
go back to your regular day? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not like, it's not like anyone's actually sitting there like next week, like, oh my God, that's the guy that tripped. You know, like, no one cares.
Because everyone trips. Everyone, you know, does something.
Yeah, it's like the embarrassing, you know, or whatever details or moments that you could think of. It's like, I can guarantee you, literally no one cares. You know what I mean? Right. If you're giving a presentation and you fumble a word, it might be you might hear some chuckles in the moment, but like 20 seconds later, no one cares.
Yep.
You know what I mean? No one. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And it also kind of. It's also how you go about it too. So like if you trip and fall and people laugh and you get angry right away and you like get back up in a huff, grab your book bag, grab whatever and just storm away. Yeah, people are gonna notice you more just over your reaction. But if you just kind of like trip or whatever, you make a joke about it, at least people are gonna remember you in a positive light. Where it's like, okay, you know, he's a normal guy. He's not, you know, whatever. It happens, you know. They may not. They're more or less going to remember you for your negative reaction, and then they're going to make fun of you for that for a while. Versus if you trip and you joke about it, they might remember it for, you know, a week, and it's like, oh yeah, but he's a cool dude, you know. at the end of the day. So the thing is, I just don't think I think people need to be more open to just being wrong and maybe learning something along the way if they can.
Yeah.
If just be open to a discussion.
That's the thing. It's like, I mean, and like I said, I get it. I'm typically like a kind of shy and reserved person. So I get it. Like you said, everyone's got insecurities and things blow up in your head. And, I did this wrong, or, yeah, you know what I mean? Like you have all these, insecurities, but I don't know. I at least try to recognize it and don't like project it onto others. You know what I mean? Don't try not to let it like rule your life. It's like we just said, it's like things happen, most people don't care. And most people can honestly empathize. Most people would be like, oh, I tripped last week and I felt like an idiot. Like most people aren't going to like I think most people aren't as malicious as you'd think,
Yeah, exactly. There was this study done. This was a while back, like we're talking half a year ago, if that. But they had these very attractive women. It was like three very attractive women, whatever. And they said, "Oh yeah, you're going in for a job interview." But they told them that the study was how they would react towards their facial features, because what they wanted to do was put like prosthetics or something to like make their faces look so like messed up and scarred. And so each one of them, they actually saw the work that was done to them, and then right before the job interview, they decided to they wanted to touch up the makeup that they did on these women. So instead of they just took all the markings, everything off. So they looked exactly like they did when they walked in, to do this experiment. So they walk into these interviews thinking they still had all the scars and shit, but they didn't. And so each one of them did the interview. And when they were done, they were like, "Oh yeah, I felt so judged. I felt like the person interviewing me was judging me. Like they couldn't look away from the scars. And, I just felt so embarrassed, and this, that, and the other." And then you find out that they found out that they didn't have any of the markings. It's like that says a lot about us as a society, where we're so insecure that we think people are looking at this one thing when they're probably not. You know what I mean?
And like seeing things that aren't there. Like you said, it's like, oh, they were treating me differently and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, right? Like, it's just like you said, it's your own projection of it, like you're seeing things.
It's how you perceive yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I see your face, I'm like, fucking Christ. Put a bag
I was about to say something like that. I was like, like your projections are real.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like, oh my God, look at you.
Jesus.
Oh shit. But no, that's the thing. I think it's normal to have insecurities, but don't let it ruin your perception of other people, because other people aren't gonna really care as long as you're a decent enough person. It shouldn't matter. I mean, look at like, go to Geeks and Gamers, and Uche, who's no longer with us, but he was as left as they came, and they still welcomed him back. They still welcomed him on the show. They played Mario Kart and Halo, stuff like that. And the audience, the G&G audience wanted him gone. They were like, get rid of Uche because we don't like his takes. They see his takes on Twitter. Jeremy from, the head of Geeks and Gamers, he's just like, no, he's a good dude. He's a good friend. And you know, in the live streams, I saw it. Like, you know, when they did Mario Kart, Fortnite, whatever, he was a cool guy. So it's unfortunate that there are people even on our side of the aisle that are feeling this way, where it's like, oh, this person has all these dumbass hot takes, and we want him gone. Why are you guys friends with this person? It's like, that is such a shallow way of thinking. And I think that is so, it's kind of sad that we are put in this box now where it's like, if we disagree with you, we don't want you around.
Yeah.
So.
And like we said, I mean, you like country music. Objectively, it's disgusting. But.
So that's it. That's it. Yep. I tried. For all 0 of you watching, I tried. I know a lot of you begged for me to keep him on, but I just can't.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. But
fucking amateur.
But what music do you listen to?
Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Listen,
I'm like, you know, the same music you do, just not country.
Oh my god. Yep, you already. I'm clipping that shit out. Same music you do. Okay. Great.
Yeah, right. No.
No.
Baby,
No,
lock the door and turn them lights down low.
Lock them door and turn the lights down low. No, I mean, like, listen, country music is not what it once was, but it was good once as it ever was. That's a Toby Keith reference.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can't stand Toby Keith. Toby Keith kind of sucks. He's a douche. He's just a really douchey guy.
Yeah, that I know who that is. And
Red Solo Cup. Remember? Red Solo Cup. I fill you up. You don't know that song?
Oh.
Everybody fucking knows that song.
No.
Jesus Christ.
I know like 2 country songs. Well, I know
Listen.
like more like 1.5 because the half is that beginning part with locking the doors, turn the lights down.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know the rest of the song. It stops there.
Yeah, we'll do a karaoke night where it's just literally you saying lock the doors, turn the lights down low.
Yeah, it's like crawling in my crawl.
Oh man. No, I've been listening to a lot of hard rock lately. I have been listening to the Amity Affliction.
Ooh, yeah.
I've been listening to them a lot. I'm really liking them. I'm starting to listen to more of Dayseeker. Who's the other one? Beartooth. I'm listening to a little more of Beartooth.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there's a couple songs.
Yeah.
Like I don't listen to them a lot, but like I know a couple songs of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to listen to them a little more. But now I'm actually getting into like listening to older rock music. I'm listening to like I just added a bunch of older Shinedown songs, a bunch of the older Linkin Park songs, something else I can't remember. There was another band. Oh, Breaking Benjamin.
Oh yeah.
I remember there was a point in high school where I would just listen to nothing but Breaking Ben. You know, so I got a bunch of those songs that I listened to religiously. I just put them on.
Yeah.
I remember watching like people always put like video games, like they would make like these little music videos for their video games and shit. I remember someone did one for Unknown Soldier by Breaking Benjamin, but they compiled a bunch of clips from the prototype game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I was big into that.
Speaking of that, actually, I don't know if I don't really follow them too much, but like, you know, like those death battle videos that they do. Like, so,
Oh, like the are you talking about? No, that's the epic rack battles. Are you? Is it where like the characters, like they take two different characters and they have it fight out and see who would actually win?
yeah, and they would actually do like all the research of like, you know,
Like
what's
Goku
there.
versus Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So there's I think they teased I think the next one is going to be Alex Mercer, who's like from Prototype.
Yeah, from Prototype
versus Cole McGrath from Infamous.
That's cool. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
And I was like, I don't know who to win. I mean, I kind of have to go with Alex Mercer, I think.
I agree.
I think Prototype is there's just a lot of abilities.
Yeah, he's really OP, and he's a lot faster and more nimble than Cole.
But still, I was like, oh, it's really cool to see.
Yeah. But I remember those games came out pretty close to each other. I think Infamous came out in 2000, like late 2009, and Prototype 1 came out in early 2010. So like they were close enough, and I just remember thinking I want to see a crossover. You know, I thought that would be so cool.
Yeah.
But
wow,
I remember
they're both 2009.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow. Even better. Yeah, I know they came out pretty close together and almost back to back. And I remember, so one thing that kind of got me was when you play the first Prototype game, because I played that game, Infamous and Prototype, I played a lot of. And I remember flying around in Prototype, and I remember they had a billboard with the DC logo, you know, like DC Comics logo. And they had a billboard of that in the game. I just remember seeing that, and I was like, that's kind of cool. So I wasn't sure if they were like considering this a DC property at the time. Sounds kind of silly now, but I thought that was kind of cool. And then they came out with a prequel comic for Infamous 2, which was by DC Comics, and I was like, they could fucking do that. I'm like, that's cool. I want them to do it. Oh man, I wish they would have, but unfortunately, both of those franchises are gone. Like they're dead.
Yeah, I know. I wish they would like do like a really good like remaster / remake, because I mean, you know, some of the controls are a little wonky, so it's just like
they ported Prototypes 1 and 2 to the PS4.
Really?
Okay. They ported them, but I guess Activision lost the rights because they ported. So it was so weird how it happened. So Activision started porting, just randomly porting their properties onto the PlayStation and Xbox stores, the Microsoft store or whatever. And they ported Prototypes 1 and 2. They ported Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. And they ported Deadpool, the 2013 video game Deadpool. They ported all of those games onto the Microsoft and PlayStation stores. And I guess they lost the rights or something. I think it was their way of trying to get more money before losing the rights to those games. But I was just like, what the hell? Oh, and I think they also, it wasn't at the same time, but they also ported like a year or two later, Transformers War for Cybertron on the PlayStation and Microsoft stores. But all of them got pulled. You know?
Yeah.
I remember buying, I bought the Prototype games, Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, and Deadpool. I remember buying all those games, and like a week later, they took them all down. They took them all off. So I got them just in time.
Yeah, you can still play them, right? Because like you bought them.
I can still play them.
Okay, so good.
I can still download them and play them. And so I was just like so relieved. I'm like, oh my God. Because I played a lot of Ultimate Alliance and a lot of Prototype. The first prototype. I never until I bought those games from the store. I never played Prototype 2 until then.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was pretty happy about that. And yeah, I played the fuck out of all those games, and I never played Ultimate Alliance 2 until I just found it at GameStop like years later. You know, like a long time after. Like we're talking like 2014, 2015 is when I fucking finally played that game, and you know, I didn't care for it as much. I thought it was it wasn't as good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember too much about the second one, but yeah, I remember I didn't really like it as much.
Yeah, I mean they handled the Civil War story better than Disney, but yeah, it wasn't great. I wish they would have kept a lot of the. I wish they would have kept it more or less similar to the first game. Ultimate Alliance 3 is fine. It's just
I was gonna say they made a third one, right? I never
yeah, that's a Nintendo Switch exclusive. But it was fine. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't like the style of the game. It felt a little too cartoonish, I guess. Very different from the first two games.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And they had more of a story, but it's like you didn't have a hub world like you did in the other two games, which bothered me. I didn't like the lack of a hub world, but you know. You okay?
Yeah, you're good.
You're staring off into space.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Country music is great. The old country music. You know what I don't like? I don't like rap.
Well, the same thing, right? The old rap is good.
Yeah, the old rap is good. No, I like rap music. It's just they're not very creative, you know. They don't know how to rhyme anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, I mean, I think it's pretty much across all music genres. But I was gonna say, like, yeah, the quality just kind of went down. You know, just in general. Like, I feel like, you know, like you said, they used to actually talk about certain topics and make the lyrics rhyme, and now it's just
Yeah. Well, I mean, fucking Eminem, he used to be great. He used to be fucking the literal rap god. And I mean, he's insane now. He's
weird.
Yeah. Since we're in spooky season, what movies would you like to watch? Or what are your go-to movies around spooky season? I hate fucking saying spooky season, but now it's like a common thing to say. It's a common thing to fucking say.
That. Well, I think my go-to is always Halloween. Michael Myers and that and Scream. I always like Scream. That's always fun.
Now, are you talking about just the individual movie, or are you talking about the entire series? Because personally, I like watching an entire series.
I mean, I'm thinking of the series. I don't really watch the whole series, but I might like pick and choose. You know what I mean? Like I'll be like, oh, I'm feeling like Halloween 4 today, you know?
Yeah.
Versus another day, like H2O is feeling good. You know what I mean? Like I don't really watch them the whole way through, but
I have to. I almost have to. Yeah. As funny as it sounds, I'm very like I can't start in the middle of a series. I have to start from the very beginning.
Because Halloween has multiple timelines, how do you handle that? Do you just bounce back and forth?
I just watch them in release order. So like I'll literally watch every single movie from the original to Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll watch every single movie. So like I'll watch 1 through 5, and then I think that's when they did the H2O, Then I'll watch H2O and then Resurrection. And then I'll watch the Halloween 1 and 2 remakes. And then I'll go and watch Halloween 2018 all the way to Halloween Ends.
Yeah, there is Halloween 6. Curse of Michael Myers.
What was 5?
5 is...
Oh, that was the Revenge of Michael Myers. Yeah. So yeah, I meant Halloween.
Yeah.
When I said Halloween 5, I meant the Curse of Michael Myers.
So the real question is, which is your favorite? Do you like Halloween, or Halloween?
Okay, so as far as Halloween goes, so Halloween's great. Like Halloween, what we just saw in Halloween is great. I thought it was a great back to form, but it wasn't done as well as Halloween. So now,
well, Halloween's a classic.
Yeah, Halloween is a classic. So there's Halloween, but like I think Halloween did this really well. I think what they did in Halloween was better than Halloween, but not as good as Halloween, right? So I think.
Yeah, like the ranking is Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we're going through the Halloween movies, it's definitely Halloween, and Halloween. Those are like the top 3.
Well, then you have to decide as far as the sequels, at least for Halloween 2 or Halloween 2. I mean,
right. Well, I like Halloween 2
like
more than
Halloween 2. Halloween 2 isn't too bad,
Right. Yeah, Halloween 2, like Halloween 2 and Halloween 2 are 2 different movies, right? So like Halloween 2 is definitely better than Halloween 2, but like at the same time, I feel like Halloween 2 did some things better than Halloween 2. You know what I mean?
I guess I can see what you're saying. I mean, I think Halloween 2 is a lot better than Halloween 2, but there's a couple, I could see the other way. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Halloween 2 is fine, but definitely Halloween, and then Halloween 2 and Halloween 2. That's my ranking.
And it makes sense.
It makes total sense, believe it or not.
I mean, there's other descriptors like 2018 versus Rob
okay,
Zombie.
So you brought up Scream. Do you like Scream or Scream more?
Oh, definitely Scream. I mean,
Scream.
Because like Scream was okay, but I feel like it was kind of mid. Like I like Scream definitely more. I mean,
Scream was better. Scream was definitely better at setting up the characters than Scream.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Scream and Scream do still have the problem of like the character. It's predictable who the killer is. Like I feel like the killers in Scream were better than in Scream.
Yeah, it's also hard to say because Scream comes after Scream, so it's like when you first watch Scream, you know what I mean. It's not as predictable, but like when you get to Scream, it's like, oh, okay, we've seen this in Scream, so
right. So my go-to horror movies to watch or around this time is definitely Halloween. All 3 iterations of Halloween. But I also like watching Saw just because each of those movies except for like fucking Spiral, which was a weird movie. That came out in like June. But every Saw movie has come out around October, like around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always put those movies there. And Friday the 13th. Well, no, I was never really a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you've watched them.
They were on, but I wouldn't actually sit down and watch them.
Yeah. But Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Nightmare on Elm Street, absolutely. I absolutely loved those movies growing up. I used to be terrified of Freddy. He was the one that I was always afraid of. Not because he was scary, but because he was always judging people. He was always calling people out for shit, and it was terrifying. Like, what's more scary? Fucking someone who pulls you who actually invades your dreams and tries to kill you, or someone who fucking judges you and makes fun of you the entire time. Well, guess what, fucker? He's both.
Yeah.
Well, that's a double whammy.
Well, the funny thing is, I always loved it because like he was funny. You
Yeah.
know, like he would like in his own sick way would like joke around, would like kind of
welcome to prime time, bitch.
Yeah. Well, do you like a Nightmare on Elm Street more than a Nightmare on Elm Street?
Oh hell no. I like Nightmare on Elm Street more than Nightmare on Elm Street. Because I feel like a Nightmare on Elm Street was like
they tried.
They tried, but I think he was too serious and he didn't need to be. I mean, A Nightmare on Elm Street, he was kind of serious, but he was also very like he made jokes and he was still like the Freddy that we know. But on A Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like he's too serious. So like A Nightmare on Elm Street, if I had to choose between A Nightmare on Elm Street and A Nightmare on Elm Street, I would definitely pick A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th?
So
Friday the 13th is actually interesting because it's different.
So a little bit of a hot take. I like a Friday the 13th more than a Friday the 13th.
I mean, I get that. It's, because a Friday the 13th is a little weird. It's like, it's when you watch the whole series and you look back, you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. But I feel like, listen, with Friday the 13th, they get right to business. This already happened, and here's Jason. But in Friday the 13th, it's like, where's Jason? We don't know.
And like in Friday the 13th,
I definitely like Friday the 13th more than Friday the 13th.
Well, like, and then also in Friday the 13th, well, I guess both. But I was gonna say, like, there's boobs. I mean,
oh my god, yeah. But nothing is better. No woman is hotter than any of the final girls in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, except for the Netflix movie. We're not touching that one.
Yeah,
but every final girl in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is insanely hot for no reason. It's like they find the hottest chick available. I honestly don't understand it.
Yeah, like I mean, literally every movie. It's like, how is this possible?
Right. Oh my god.
Well, see, that actually kind of, I guess, brings up another question of like, so do you like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or do you like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Oh, actually, or do you like Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah. Well, okay, so
because that.
Well, hold on. Are we talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or Texas Chainsaw?
Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Oh.
It's just listed on IMDb as Texas Chainsaw.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's right. There's the Texas Chainsaw. The Texas Chainsaw. Chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw. Ah.
Well, what about Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 or Leatherface?
That's true. It doesn't matter because they're all sequels to the same movie.
Yeah. Well, Leatherface is actually a prequel. I'll have you know.
Oh.
And it's actually in the same continuity as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw 3D.
I mean, that's true. And then, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a reboot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
And then
that one got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning.
Yeah. Then you have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Which is like, the last sequel, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ. that series is confusing as I like the original movie though. In all seriousness, I like the original movie a lot. But I do think the remake did some things better. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compare only because, I mean, I guess you could say that about most of these kind of franchises. But I was going to say, like, I feel like the original movie is so old that some of the stuff when you watch it over, like I feel like I kind of I give it like a pass, on some of the things, because you're like, okay, it's a little silly there, but like it's old, obviously it's not gonna hold up exactly, like when Leatherface comes out and he hits the one guy in the head, and you could clearly tell that he didn't even hit him, like you know what I mean? He's like he absolutely missed, but it's like, yeah, you give it a pass,
But you got to give them props. I love the shots in the movie. The shots in the movie are very eerie. It just makes it feel very eerie, where it's like even though like this is like primarily during like the daytime, the sun's well and completely out. It's like you still feel like you don't want to be there,
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I liked the shots, especially when they have Sally. They have Sally. they have her like tied to that chair, and like she's just screaming. I mean, it gets a little excessive, I admit, but just like the close-ups of her eyes and shit, and like just seeing the genuine fear coming out of her. It's like, oh my God, like this is a place I don't want to be. And you feel like she's just so defenseless right now because there's nothing she can do because she's tied to a chair, just and just seeing these guys just laughing and having fun with her. It's creepy as hell. But yeah, I think there are some things that I think are a little dated, of course, a lot of it's dated. Franklin's not my favorite character in the franchise. I think he's a little too childlike, but I have a lot of respect for the movie because I think they, especially in the beginning when they pick up the hitchhiker, I think he like that whole scene was building up so much tension, where he's just harmlessly taking photos. Oh, it didn't turn out that good. And he gets mad. He starts fucking blowing the shit up right there in the van. And they're like, get the fuck out, get the hell out of here, or whatever. And he like pulls that guy's arm in and just like takes a knife and cuts him, like it was just like a guitar. It felt like a guitar string, even when he like cut his own hand with Franklin's knife, they were like all just like staring at him, like, and he's just sitting there laughing and having a good old time, and they're just like looking terrified. Like they you could tell just by looking at their faces, like, how do we get this guy out of our van? And
it's funny because it's like nowadays, very obviously, like, no, I'm not picking up a hitchhiker.
Right.
But back in the 70s, it's, I guess, it was a little more.
It was common. Yeah. Yeah, I think that movie is the reason why people didn't want to pick up hitchhikers anymore.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I've actually been watching a lot of horror movies lately. I've been playing a lot of horror-esque games. I want to get into The Evil Within finally. I've had those games for a while and I just never played them. So I want to get into those. But yeah, we really went off the rails here. In about 3.5 hours. Look at that. But so I think we're going to call it here.
I think it's good for now,
Yeah.
Next week.
I haven't eaten all day, so there's that. I know you said you wanted to eat, but yeah, we'll be getting on again later. Not sure when, maybe in a couple hours here, and playing some. What are we playing? We didn't really talk about what we were going to play. We didn't really discuss this. What are you feeling?
I don't know. I think we should do. Since we were talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I say let's play that.
Yes, I think yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a good one to play. I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. Yeah. So because we do everything that he wants to fucking do, get this asshole out of here. I fucked up. I can't even click on my shit.
Ah.
God damn it. Get this out. So since we do everything that he wants to do, we'll be playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the Xbox. And yeah, that game's a lot of fun. If you're watching this after the fact, definitely check that game out. It's a lot of fun. You got to get with the right people because we don't take these games seriously. Neither should you, because they're games.
No, we try really hard.
Yeah, we help each other out.
Oh yeah, when I slammed the door on you, Leatherface is right behind you. That's because I got nervous, not because I was trying to sabotage.
Well, the one game I played, I fucking when I was being chased by I think it was Leatherface, either Leatherface or the hitchhiker, I can't remember which, but I was being chased by one of these fuckers, and I wanted to slam the door on whoever was chasing me, but instead my character, the game didn't register, and I slammed the door, locking myself in with him. And I fucking died.
That's the game. That's karma. The game has karma.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bad. It was all bad. But I think we're calling it here. So yeah, if you're watching after the fact, you're probably not going to go over and watch us play Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But in the off chance that you do, I thank you for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.
How do I end this shit?
Every time.
I still haven't prepared myself for this shit. I wanted to be like, oh yeah, bye, and then it cuts, but it just doesn't happen. Here we go.